Okay, we're back here with the Tales of Ulran. I am Brian, as always. To my side here is Alex. She'll be playing the character of Oma tonight. Below her is Danny McGuffey. He will be playing, God, how many people tonight? She'll be playing Dayhon, the martial art type warrior, but not a monk. And you also be playing Bastille. And if anyone that watches these episodes, they know who that is. Below me is a new member to the group. His name is Dace. Dace actually lives on the set of where The Lord of the Rings was filmed. He's actually in a hobbit hole there right now, broadcasting from. Now he's from New Zealand, and he's going to be playing the part of Kylian, the Nocturne that was introduced and met the group in episode 6 last time. Okay. So Ron, which plays Ignatius, our avian, our center, our wise person, our avian cleric, he's doing some Halloween stuff, and he will join us after a while. So that allows us to start with Alex and Danny, taking up after that awesome card game and all that shit that went down last week on the airship, and we will take off from at the point where Danny's character, Dayhon, won the card game, which I don't know how the hell that happened, with Aeolus at the table, and you winning that card game was pretty impressive, I gotta say. So with that, if I'm not mistaken, the last thing your character was doing, Alex, was Oma was staring out one of the port windows of the airship and watching the snow hit the glass and melt away from the warmth of the inside of the cabin. Just kind of lost in the moment and thinking about where you're at and how far you've come in such a short time. Thoughts about the Soul Stone dwell on your mind. What are you going to try to accomplish when you get into it, or questions you'd be asking yourself? What will your brother, Tomar, think of your quest to be a little bit more reckless and stop having people watch after you and risk themselves for you? You know, his position when he was alive and with you was always that of someone that stood by your side so you didn't have to fight your own battles. But that time has changed for you. And you're going to go in there and try to hash out some things and find yourself and find some more inner courage when you go inside the Soul Stone. Danny, as far as your mentality and things of that nature, once you've won the card game, go ahead and tell me what Dayhon's reaction is. With that, you see Aeolus would finish off what he has of the special brew that he has pulled out from behind the bar. The gnomish person, and I forgot about this, the gnome that was playing that ballad, okay, that really amazing rendition of the songs from your homeland, he gets to the end of the song, okay, and there is a silence that kind of goes over everybody in the cabin. I'm going to roll something. That's not bad. Okay, on a performance check, he got a 19. Okay, so you guys are more than welcome to react to that how you would like to. Danny, I'll start with you.
Yours, pilot.
Nicely done. Okay, that's better than an armpit fart, I'll tell you that. So moving on. So Danny, when you are collecting your coin, you see that he is done. What are you saying now that the gnome is finished with this ballad?
After he collects his coin, he takes out what he actually bet and then slides the rest back on the table and looks at Aeolus and says, "For tonight's drink, and because I get to sleep on the ship tonight."
Okay. Oma, what is it you would like to say now that the song has concluded? As you're staring out the portal window, just kind of listening in the background. It was a very decent performance of the things that you've hummed to yourself over time, and for him to have picked up on those things and put this rendition of it together on this small mandolin-like instrument that he's playing would be considered quite flattering. What are you doing?
I'd say that was beautiful and clap with it.
Okay. As she politely collapses a little bit, you see this snicker and grin come across Aeolus's face. You know, Lucifer, the character, as he has his arm hitting, sitting back, and he's kind of looking across there, and he's looking sideways over at Danny. And he's looking at her, and he's looking at Danny, and he just kind of cocks his eyebrow at you, Danny. He says, "Well played." He says like that to the gnome. And he's like, "Oh, thank you. It's been on my mind for some time. I've really wanted to trying to explore the song, if you will, but I'm just really glad that you guys enjoyed what I had to say. So thanks. Really appreciate it. It's good stuff." And as he goes to put the guitar away, he fumbles it a bit and begins to put it into a small, almost like coffin-like case that's lined with a velvet of sorts with a wooden cover as he turns his back and he's putting his stuff away. At that point, Dantus, the red-haired bombardier dwarf that has the vest, the tinker vest and all these things, really intoxicated at this point. When he turns around and shuts his case to lock the hinges on that mandolin, Dantus comes out of falling asleep for an instant because of how drunk he is. He's literally sitting there like snoring with his chin into his chest. When it happens, he's going, "Oh, it's my..." He looks up, he looks around, he goes, "Oh, I'm still here. Oh, I gotta pee. Oh." And he stands up from the table and goes looking around, and he looks at you, Danny, but he's got drunk eyes. And if you don't know what drunk eyes are, that means he's looking at you, but one's on you and one's over here. Because naturally, that's not a trick he knows. That's just him being fucked up, okay? And as he looks at you, he says, and he gets awkwardly close to you as he stands up and leans on the table and gets like that uncomfortable close that drunk people get to you sometimes. His breath smells bitter and old wine filled. He has had a fucking day of it, sir, since you saw him last time before you went to the arena in town. And he's looking at you and he pretty much is telling you, "I did that for you. The money, all that shit, it doesn't matter. It's just money. And I have so much, and I have so much of it now. I have so much of it now. And that's from me to you. That's from me to you. Didn't have to listen, didn't have to play. I've got to play. It's fine. I still got to pee. That's for you." And he stands up and he waddles his way off from the table, going outside. And as he is, and he's kind of walking around and bumping into shit like that, you can't help but find it hilarious. And you know that Dantus is an amazing gambler. You've been his bodyguard. You've watched him do this many different times, Danny. And you thought you read him pretty well, but he did play more recklessly than you saw him play earlier today in the Crow's Nest. It's got you wondering, was that how a drunk dwarven gambler thanks a person? Is by throwing themselves into shark-infested waters, knowing they have no chance of winning a game? Just food for thought. Okay? With that, Aeolus says over to the gnomish crew member that he has. I don't think we ever named him, did we, Danny?
I'm guessing he's one of the ones that came on board with that electrical device they were building.
Yes. So let's go ahead and call him. Dace, just for shits and giggles, do you have a quick gnomish bard name? Anything will work.
Gnomish bard name. I would honestly call them Squatters. Squatters Stonewinds. Squatters Stonewinds.
Okay, so spell the first name, please?
Squatters. We're gonna go with an SQ and a U. Then we're gonna have a WITER. Squatters. S at the end.
Squitter. Very
Squitter.
nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. And I like that. No, I'll not even give him the dignity of having a last name. He's like the guy in Star Trek that's going to die as soon as the phaser
The
come
red
out.
shirt dude.
Yeah, so
The red shirts.
he's that guy. He's a red shirt. So as a Squitters is putting his stuff away, Aeolus looks across him and says, and he calls him Squirt, just for short. And it's kind of a play on words that Aeolus gets a bigger kick out of than everyone else does. He's very amused by himself and in love with his own sense of humor, as you and Oma very well know, Danny. Okay? And he says, tell you what, Scorch, let's go ahead and get this all cleaned up, this mess. Let's get the things put back where they may. I think we've all given our bullheaded friend here enough coin for one night. And he looks at you and he goes, I do hope that you invest some of that back into the ship, and especially the damages and the bail relief fund. Oh, the bail relief fund is getting to be so low and bothersome on this place. Dayhon, but you wouldn't know anything about that, which you know, of course you don't. That's fine. Tell you what we'll do. We'll talk about it in the morning once I've had a chance to drink a little bit more and possibly forgive you a little bit more. How does that sound to you? He gives you a long, knowing look with one eye kind of down, with a grin that is supposed to look clever, but you know is absolute bullshit. This is like a possum smiling at you, okay? What are you doing?
He looks back and he says, Ayo, I think we could earn a lot more coin if we go and take a job. I'm getting tired of sitting on this dock.
He goes, but we've just barely arrived. We simply had the race not long ago, and maybe sometimes it's okay, Dayhon, to throw smaller fish back in the hopes of catching a large one, wouldn't you say?
You're the captain.
I am the captain, thank you. And he looks down at his shirt like surprised that you noticed. He's flipping the color that he has and tosses his hair back and puts his gun up on the table and looks at it. And he says, by God, you make a valid point. He smiles. And he goes, but now I'm curious and I won't be able to sleep. What is this job that you wish that we would so rapidly jump up to do? Dayhon, please tell us. Everyone else seems to be leaving the area. Oma, you could stay behind and listen to this if you want to. I don't know if you're waiting for Dayhon so you guys can go in and deal with the Soulstone together. If you need to leave the room for anything, Oma, you just let me know, okay? I'm going to continue this. Say anything.
He smiles and he says, I hear Gwyneth wants some exotic beasts found that aren't around the local area. Could be a lot of coin in that.
He smiles and thinks a little bit about what you're asking here and what you're saying. He says, it is true that we are indebted to Gwyneth and the fine people of the Heart of the Beast. Make no mistake and don't get me wrong. It is only because of them that I have my ship mage Medalia back with us. For the thanks of both of you as well. And he gives you a serious nod, Alex, at that, because your character had a lot to do with the rescue of what is the ship mage of this airship. Her name is Medalia, and she looks like Hermione from the Harry Potter series. And she is good at all things that has to do with maintaining this airship. If she's putting elemental souls inside of the lodestar that helps steer the apparatus, to mending breaks and things in it using mystical abilities, she is the heartbeat of this ship. Without her, it wouldn't be capable of doing the things it does. And he knows that he has the people of the Heart of the Beast to thank. Having said that, he would remind you, Danny, he says, but can we not do jobs at discounts all the time?
I wasn't suggesting a discount. I was suggesting we go get some of those and sell them to them.
You're saying maybe take up contracts under Swipe, Valdera, and Tamara, possibly? Is that what you're thinking? And he grins at the thought of it.
He smiles and he says, well, we're a little more uniquely suited to get to those foreign places than they are.
He looks at you and he says, well, well, well. He says, take down one behemoth and you think you can take down the whole damn wastelands of Deneroth.
When he says that, he would obviously notice what's going on now as Dayhon's looking for a hunt.
Mm-hmm. He says,
and as he's talking about him, he subconsciously would probably reach down and touch the bone that he uses to do his tattoos.
okay, nicely done. Okay. As you do, he looks down at your finger curiously, and he looks back up at your eyes quick, as if he's still playing poker with you and is trying to make sure you don't see him reading you, but you catch his gaze. Okay? And he says to you, he says, I actually have a couple of contracts that I have procured from, not so much Gwyneth, but from Valdera, of all people. She asked to actually use our vessel so we could drop her off in the middle of just some nasty place. I made an arrangement with her, but maybe something can be worked out, he says. He says, I'm going to sleep on it now. Oh, Ron's trying to get in. Let's admit Ron. There he is. Okay. He goes, I'm going to sleep on it. He goes, but tomorrow we'll discuss this further and see where that path may lead us. I'll give this a chance, Dayhon. And he says, but you can't hardly hold promises or keep money coming into this ship if I have to keep using it to bail you out. And he gives you a serious look at that point. And he doesn't usually use that face on you too often. And he has yet, because he's been charming in front of everybody else and doing all these different things around the ship. He's been charming since the moment you came back. He's not really jumped your shit at all. And you also know that with Oma there, he won't break out the demon dog that he can be sometimes with her in his presence because he doesn't want to frighten her. But that is a quick little poignant reminder that there is a code that we go by here and stuff. And you understand very well where if you're breaking a law or something that he would approve of, that'd be one thing. But making commotion in the middle of that, and although it was for her, you know what I mean, you still have yet to have a real discussion with him about that and the amount of wealth it took for him to come out of and do this. Although you haven't even really told him the total it took either. Remember, the guy gave you a discount. So keep that in your back pocket to make the scolding a little bit less severe when that time comes, okay? I won't remember because I'm doing too much shit, but you might want to make a note of it, you know. Vaseline will be used, you know. Just write down some shit or something, okay? With that, he goes ahead and puts a cork back into the bottle with his own teeth as he puts it down, twists his head. He always corks his own personal bottles in that way. Because if you don't mind drinking out of that bottle, when he's corked it with his own teeth and stuff like that, he's fine if you're having some. But that's the condition, because that's some of his shit sometimes. Once he does that, he walks back and grabs a couple mugs and things off of the table, and excuses himself and goes into a lower chamber where you know he actually rests and sleeps. He's pretty much done for the night. Dantas has went up on the deck and is probably pissing, probably passed out, laying in the moonlight up there in the cold, which for him, he probably won't freeze to death because he's too damn hardy to die that way. That'd be too fortunate for everybody. In the inside of this ship, when you come out of this little pub-like place that he has in the belly of the Lai Lung, and Dace, the name of the airship is called the Lai Lung. That's what I'm talking about. There's a main central hallway. Bastille knows this hallway very well. Okay, your other character. Dayhon knows it well too. And there are several different rooms to the left and right. Then the kitchen is on the very far end and where the gnome actually does most of his work. Squirt, I like that. So at that point, you know that your room and Oma's room share a wall. Share a thin space between you two, and that is why at night sometimes when you and Oma are going to sleep, you'll do these little things where you'll talk about hey, you sleep yet? She'd say like, no, not yet. Sometimes, Oma, you'll hear him having nightmares. You can hear him cry out for his sister sometimes. And he's going through a lot of very painful things. You've heard him have a lot of very restless nights there. As well, Danny, you can hear her start to sing and hum these low-key summoning tunes and songs that she even rehearses when she's asleep. Sometimes it actually helps calm you down and you sleep better when you hear them. The Soul Stone, which was your plan, Alex, is in your room, okay? And it looks, I mean, we've talked about this, and I think Ron knows what the Soul Stone is. I know Dace does not, but just because we're doing episodes now, and this being episode 7, I want to describe what this thing actually is roughly. Okay. There is a artifact that Oma took with her when she escaped the city of the Stone Crown. This is a place where Oma was enslaved, and a place where her brother, Omar, was forced to fight against his will. And this device looks like a orb that it is obscured by a layer of clouds or some kind of atmosphere inside of it. And if you gaze deeply into the inside of it, you will see what looks like an ancient, large arena full of people, okay, with an empty floor in the middle or a battle arena. I won't describe why it's that way, what happened, but Oma is very proficient in using things like totems, and she is able to enter effortlessly in and out of this realm that exists inside of this soul stone. Okay. She is actually able to, upon the death of certain creatures or certain enemies that we've encountered along the way, she is able to do a ritual where she is able to trap their soul into a totem and then release them into this place and keep them. It's been used once since she's joined the campaign with a boss that we dealt with named Tonja, which was one of Bastiel's mortal enemies. We'll talk about Tonja later on. His spirit is in there. They're the spirit of all kinds of people that passed away and died fighting against their will in that arena. She's able to go in there and she's able to bring them back and have conversations with them. But the Soul Stone is a double-edged sword. That when you enter it, as long as your totem remains on the outside and is kept safe, no matter what happens to you inside, Oma can pull you out. She can jerk you back into reality. Okay? But people have to watch over your bodies as you will lay in a coma-like state outside of this thing while inside. Okay? Physical things don't go in with you. Okay? Now, the problem being is this place feeds on your emotions. So when you're in this place, let's say, for instance, Dace is in this place, okay, and he is in there wandering around, and he is in there to combat a person from his past, something that he did not get to finish. It works almost like animating a dream. Let's say Dace had a school teacher that gave him some shit one of these days for cheating on a test, and he didn't do it. Swear to God, the writing was just on my palm, wasn't my fault, okay? So if he goes in here, Oma would say, I need something personal from you. And she would take that item from you, something that she would consider your totem, Dace. And she would ask you very seriously, and she would study you to make sure that you are bonded to this item. It has meaning to you, significance. It's something that she can use to remind you you have somewhere else to be. So she can use it to pull you from this. And then you would enter in a state. She would perform a ritual so she could do her spirit walk and take you into this place. You would conjure up said teacher, okay? And you guys would have a debate and talk this out in the arena, okay? But the longer you're there, the thing wants to draw more memories from you. You may be looking over in the crowd and see somebody that passed away that you miss very dearly. Just up there amongst other people in the crowd cheering you on, and you just get a glimpse of them, not knowing what was going on. You may look over to the side and see long lost friends that you haven't seen for a while and long to just go up there and hang out with them instead of leave. And so the longer you're inside of the soul stone, the more dangerous it becomes to keep you there. There are checks and things that we roll as this is going on. Oma is very, very proficient at walking the fine line between knowing, like, how did we say it earlier, Alex? It's like a diver trying to break a world record. If they can just go a little bit deeper, it gets where they need to be, but they got to hold their breath a little bit longer each foot further they go down. Or meter, Dace, or meter. So
That'd be better. Yeah.
Right on. So having said that, so for those of you watching, the group pretty much knows what this soul stone is. Oma has this in her possession. Okay. You two are leaving. If you would, if it's not too awkward, have a conversation between you two. Let me know where you're going. And Danny, you unmuted. Hot damn, we're on top of it tonight. Days last week, we had so many instances where people would start talking and they'd forget to unmute. And we're not saying names, are we, Ron? No, we would never do that. Before you two start your conversation, Ron, this is Dace. Dace is from New Zealand. So we can do New Zealand accents now with any of our characters. He has pretty much shut that out because he knows that it's just going to be an atrocity. It's going to be terrible.
I'll just do them from now on.
Right? Yeah. If that needs handled, we'll just have him play that character. No problem. That's
Yeah, that or we just all listen to him.
Yeah. See, Danny has to do the Scottish dwarf voice, of course, because that's what one does. And I always thought, when I was on here, if like we get a Scottish or Irish person that joins this group, dude, we're screwed. Because dwarves they will just think we are being horribly inappropriate. So having said that, you two have a conversation if you want to. Go up the hallway, decide which room you're going into, have a talk about what you want to get accomplished while you're inside the stone so everyone's clear. Please go ahead.
He's dying.
I know he is. I know it's good stuff.
I want to give Kylian a Maori accent. I'm really tempted to do it.
We're going to get there. We need to change the accent for something that fantastic,
if I could
by
do
all
it,
means.
I wish I could do a Maori accent because Dayhon has got some stuff based out of that. But
yeah. Right on.
Been working on a very complicated situation in my head. I don't think you should drive.
Don't think I should drive.
You've been drinking too much, Burr. You're gonna get into an accident.
Burr,
It's not gonna go well. And I don't want your ghost chips.
Good Lord.
It's a real ad. That's a real ad, by the way.
I mean, oh really? That's a commercial.
Yeah, that's a commercial for drunk driving.
Oh my God. That would make me put the keys down right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, anyway, back on task, people. Chop, people. All right, listen. Human drama's unfolding. Let's get focused. So Danny and Alex, go ahead and have your conversation and action.
So Dayhon would walk over and he'd take that last bit of liquor that he has and he pours it into a big decanter that he keeps under there. That's my infinity vow. And once I get it full, I'm going to see what it tastes like.
Huh.
So he just puts a little bit of everything that he has left over in it.
Wow.
Nice.
He says, what are you planning to go in the stone tonight?
I am. But I don't know if I want to go in there alone. And if both me and someone else are in the stone, who will be there watching our bodies?
I bet if you talk to Medalia, you could probably arrange it.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
So, well, then, if you want to maybe see if she'll do that,
Mhm.
I'll meet you guys there. And what do you say? 10 minutes? 20?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so we have clear set goals now. You're going to go try to locate Medalia, Alex. You know her room is on the opposite side of the hallway, and she usually retires pretty early and gets to studying. Her room, when you go in there, almost looks like a madman in a prison cell with maps and stuff everywhere and diagrams put on the walls and all kinds of ancient runes and texts and books. She is a bookworm. There's a reason why I based her character on Hermione, and she studies airships day and night, the philosophy behind them, the elemental properties to them, how to properly maintain and create a lodestar, which is the device that controls airships. You would almost guarantee that she would be in her room at some point studying right now, since you haven't seen her out. Plus, it's like 12:30, 12:45 in the AM now. This is getting close to the time where she'll typically pass out between 1 and 1:30. That's when you hear the end of her. Most nights, she'll give a gentle back knuckle knock in her British accent and wish you good night and sweet dreams before she goes to bed, very gently. That time has not came yet for her. So if you are willing to go to her room to get her to ask this thing of her, that would work. And something I want your character to make sure you know is that you have the ability, more so than anyone else, to leave this soul stone of your own free will, because your brother Omar's soul is in there to guide you and keep you safe. So although you're not immune to the effects of the soul stone, your brother's spirit is in there and he will make sure to guide you out if things get bad. You pretty much just want someone there to make sure that Danny's okay, is what you're going to do. And you believe she could pull that off. Danny, with you, in those 10 minutes before you meet there, what are you wanting to do?
Right now, he's trying to decide whether he's going to go cover Dauntus up with a. Actually, he'll do his first mate thing, walk the exterior of the ship, make sure everything's all right, and he'll take a blanket and cover Dauntus up where he lies.
Okay, as you do go out there, you walk up to the top of the ship. I'm going to say you peer out over the deck. You see Dauntus off in the distance. And you would also see... I don't know if I want to do that or not. No, we'll keep it simple. You would just see him, and you would see a sheen of some kind of liquid around the ground where he is passed out that is starting to frost over and is possibly very slippery because of the cold conditions. It's getting down to be about 28 to, I'd say, around 24 degrees outside right now. And it's very windy up here in Overwatch, the very top part of New Gamdar with these airships. The airship rocks gently, and you can see the wind just blow through his red hair, and he has fallen asleep, belly up, with a big grin on his face and a pants full of piss, just drained over there, laying out beside him, and just sitting there with a grin like he is completely in the happiest place he could ever be. With that,
He stayed
I want
around
to stop there.
-2 Celsius for you.
I swear, this is going to get old. Dason, -2 degrees Celsius for you. You know.
Yeah.
There you
That's
go. Never going to get old.
That's cold. Nope. I'm just gonna be like doing math every time you say a distance.
Oh my God, that's too good. So with that, let's pause that action, and let's bring it down here to these fellas and Danny doing his split personality thing. Ron, there you go. With that, Danny, catch me up on where the three of you guys were. Raylor had finally came up to join you guys. You had met and identified Kylian as the guide in the city. And after a series of kind of half-hearted questions, you and Kylian had been on one quick adventure together before, was to destroy a spider and a nest of a whole bunch of different spider eggs that were encapsulating some other of the Nocturnes of Kylian's race. And these were down in some of the deep caverns up in the wastelands of Deneroth, where there are still openings that lead openly with no gates to the netherworld. These are the product of the massive battle that took place of Deneroth there ages ago. The land is scorched and twisted and broken. And Kylian, in that adventure, you learned that there are very rare instances where him and small bands of his people, although at that point you had no idea where he lived, you had always assumed that Kylian was still out in the wilds, in the netherworld, still trying to hide like refugees from a horrible war from the Dar Evelyn, from recapturing them and re-enslaving them, taking back their property. And he almost works as if he's in a resistance, where they will take little missions and try to rescue one or two of their kind at a time, using stealth and their ability to go through shadows and knowing the way their former masters think. And this was one such attempt that had been failed because they'd run to this great spider that had captured some of their people. You had helped Kylian with that quest one time, and you had parted ways, assuming you would probably never see him or his kind again. And then you find that he is the one that can lead you to the netherworld through the underneath of the city of New Gemdar, a place you've never been privy to before. Okay? Just so you guys know, Ron, I have gave Dace several different notes as we talked for a couple hours yesterday on some things down in there. So you can feel free to question him to a degree. If he gets stuck and doesn't know something, I got your back. We'll do that via history checks and things like that, Dace. So the better you roll in those kind of checks, the better kind of answer you're going to be able to come up with. And he knows where you guys shouldn't be going. And Ron, you and Danny also know how secretive a place this is. King Omadon has stressed this to you. He just needs you to go to the crypts, take care of the business, and get back. But who knows what curiosity could get you into? That's why it's D&D. Ain't nothing written in stone, guys. So, having said that, Danny, what is the last thing you remember from episode 6? Where do we need to pick up from?
We had actually just got done. Rainlord had spoken with him, and I think we were ready to head down.
Okay. So I had talked about the courtyard. I remember explaining to Ron what the Castle Hawk's Nest looked like. And as we go up towards the castle, not somewhere else, but actually going in towards the ground floor of the castle, there are two of those guards standing, the very high up guards of New Gemdar, with the black and gold decor, with the silvered helmets that have visors that point down that almost look like hawk's beaks, with the black feathers that almost look like they have a metal like onyx sheen to them that stick off from the helmets. They have their pole arms and their halberds that have the tapestry and the banner of the black and gold and the hawks on there. They stand beside what looks like a small carved out entranceway into the lower chambers of the castle. As Kylian tells you guys to walk that way towards that door, Kylian, you know that door will lead into a series of hallways and things deep down below in which you have a key for, okay? That will lead eventually past some of these other obstacles that you need to avoid, okay? And to the entrance to the crypts, the royal crypts, is which they wish to go. It's going to be probably about a 30-minute long venture of walking, going down through here to get from this doorway to that place. Okay? So with that, I will open up. Ron, you and Danny are able to ask him whatever you want. At this point, I would say Kylian is just kind of quietly and very stealthily. He always walks silently. Kylian has a certain posture about him. You know, he was hunted for his and fled for his life most of his life. You know what I mean? They're used to looking at every little thing all the time. It's almost like watching a deer try to eat. You know what I mean? He is extremely jumpy. And with that, Danny and Bast and Ignatius, you are more than welcome to ask him things if you want to, or we can just continue to the doorway. What would you guys like to do?
How soon is this going to get ugly after we enter the doorway?
As long as we stay on the path, it will be no problem.
Kylian knows that there are no immediate threats out here into this area where it is maintained by this sealed gate that keeps the Dartmoon from coming to the underworld. He would know that it's just twisted, but lately, Kylian, there may be spirits that pop up and stuff. Mostly they've been focusing on the king, but in saying that, you don't believe there should be any trouble based on you all down here. Okay? Go ahead.
There should be no trouble, but be careful. Stay on the path.
Okay.
Meaning me. Follow me. Don't wander off.
Okay. Ron, do you have anything to add talking to Danny underneath your breath or anything of that nature, or are you going along?
I would kind of whisper to Danny, how well do you know this guy?
That's fair. You know,
It's a fair question.
He whispers back
like
and
it.
says, he does a stage whisper back and says, he can hear you.
Okay, with that, Kylian, you if you remember the last episode, you talked to things about telling him to stay bright, to stay happy. He radiates when you close your eyes and you are locating off of Ignatius. He lets off a radiance to him. There is something very pure about him. You can definitely detect that there is a radiant or some kind of holy energy that surrounds this person in general. And when he says this, the words kind of bounce around and echo in your head like a pinball machine. How well do you know this guy? And do with that as you will. Danny, of course, then whispers what he says. Do you have a response to that, Dace?
Kylian doesn't really respond to it. It's more of a, he just kind of nods to the things that he can hear you. He just nods. That's all he does. And
With that being said about him being able to sense that radiance and stuff, because Bast was just a straight assassin kit when they went in there.
Mm-hmm.
All the other stuff hadn't happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he...
Okay, so yeah, I'll make a point of that. Dace, when you last time that Bast went on that adventure with you to free some of your comrades from the webs, the spider's webs and shit like that in the inside of one of these caverns, he was just a straight rogue at that point. You might want to inquire and ask him about a change that he has went under. You sense that there is some of that light shedding off of him as well. He seems as if he is taking a turn towards something a little bit more good. Not that he was ever evil in your eyes. He was mischievous and uncertain, which made you nervous before. But there seems to be something different surrounding him now. If you'd like to mention that to him, you could, or we can just simply continue to the door.
I think at the moment, Kylian will keep it just to himself, and he'll just keep going.
Okay. As you guys get to the door, the two guards look to each other, and the one speaks out in a deeper voice and looks to Bastille. Says, "Remember your vow." And he just looks to you down, so his eyes are coming through the visors of this hawk-shaped thing and staring into your eyes intently and firmly.
He just smirks and walks by him.
Okay. With that, as you walk up to the door, the other guardsman reaches over and pulls a lever on it that makes it slide sideways, very much like the 3 iron gates that were in that passageway that went through the outer wall. Okay. The stone door slides sideways. It has depictions of things on it too. The doors here and the artwork here are all masterfully done. You guys remember the mural that was on the main gate that led to this part of the city with the giants and the mortals and their combat that interlocked?
Yeah.
You remember that, Danny?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
okay. It was a big deal. So if you don't remember it, I'm a little hurt. I'm not going to lie to you. Worked hard on that. Oh, thank you, Danny. Thank you. Thank you. See, I like to smile. She remembers it.
Thinking,
go ahead.
As Bass smirks and walks by, he actually, right before you get to the door, he turns on his heel. He says, "If you have concerns about my vow, you're welcome to come along."
The two guards look at each other for a minute. Roll an intimidation check, Danny.
"20.
Okay. Really? Okay. One meets your gaze firmly, but understands your point and yields to you just barely. The other one, the first one that spoke, is unflinching, as he rolled a natural 20 plus bonuses and looks back to you. And he says, I don't wish to have to drag a body out of this place tonight. He says, so come back and meet us here in the morning. And that intimidates you a bit. In the contest of, what is it, man versus food? In elf versus man, man wins. Okay? So you think you're like, if you're a badass, he's like, well, I don't want to have to drag your dead carcass out of this place, son of a bit. And you're kind of like, gulp. So you have that. Okay, so Sebastian's speechless and just sucking it up. He's upset. Ignatius, you see that too. I want you to roll me a charisma check, please, Ron. Just a regular D20 plus your charisma bonuses.
Oh, that's horrible.
Fantastic.
7.
Ron appears that he might need someone to pull him through the door. As this little interaction between you, because Danny, he respects your character. He knows that you have all the little sneaky answers in this place and shit. And this is the first time I think maybe he's seen you have a bit of worry and shake to your voice as we get ready to go through this door. And it makes Ron's character take a noticeable pause. I mean, because he went from like, you know this guy, to hoping not to drag your body out of here the next morning. And Ron's about had enough of it. Okay. So having said that, Ron, you say anything?
When he's
well, at this point, where's Rainlore?
Rainlore is silently walking.
He's supposed to be going in.
Not saying a word. He is walking a little bit slower than the rest of you. Dace, do you remember me talking to you about what Rainlore is?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so he is in mortal form, two-legged.
So I guess
Go ahead.
I would kind of look at him too to see, kind of take stock in how he's reacting to this.
As you turn around and give Rainlore a concerned look, he sits there with almost some kind of rock star smirk on his face, purposely looking eccentrically unimpressed with all the fuss. Okay? Just so I'm not playing it cool on purpose because he's my character. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah, he's good. That's actually a 16 and a 4. That's 20. That's not bad at all. Although he looks at you and he walks up to you and he puts his hand on your shoulder, using you to hold weight off his legs for just a brief moment, Ron. He takes a deep sigh and he looks at you with those big dark eyes, man, his big eyebrows. And he kind of whispers over to you and he goes, it's just a mind game. Best not even worry about it. I'd say with you around, hell, man, they're going to be scared to come anywhere close to us. So that means you have the least reason to be scared out of everybody down here. You hear me?
Bass smiles and He says, besides, it's not like he could find his way in the dark anyway to get our dead bodies.
You don't have.
I would say I would look at Bass and say that's not very reassuring.
Yeah. Kylian, you're overhearing all this and stuff, and you know, you're not a person. Your race isn't a person to outlandishly laugh at things, but you would find things humorous in a joyful kind of way. And when you cackle and laugh at the little things that they're saying, you almost look scary. We described at the end of the last episode where when you smile, you almost look like an alien trying to smile to make us think they're not an alien. Like, ha, 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 ha. You have this kind of weird way about doing that. And so if you ever laugh at some of this shit that's going on here, it would almost seem like you're like that psycho ex-girlfriend. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a great idea. You know, he has that kind of thing. So,
can I make an insight check to see if I can, okay. Yeah, I got a 14 plus wisdom. Yeah, it's over 15. That'll probably do it.
What are you trying to do, bud?
He looks over and he says, it's just humor, man. He's just trying to explain to Ignatius, now thinking now that he's not the adventurer, that the dark humor is just what it is. It just preps your mind for the worst, so you're ready.
And with that, Ron, it reminds you briefly that you're in a place where they are constantly celebrating an upcoming battle with giants. These people are brave to a ridiculous degree, in your opinion. All of them should be worried all the time. If it were you, you would be doing things differently. But it's funny how they approach these things. These lowlanders have this ability to laugh at danger and meet it anyway. You remember stories of people going through such things where you is reading it in your line of thinking is like, how can they feel confident about going in through this? And then realizing the other side can be made fearful too. Faith in oneself is a very powerful thing. And these people are displaying that through dark humor as they get ready to go into the perilous pits of the crypts. So with that, the door opens up. And let me see something. Okay. When it first opens up, the smell that comes out of this place is old and dank. Okay. There are torches. There are iron holders with dark wood with copper bindings wrapping around that have been burnt but haven't been lit for a long, long time. When you look down into this recess for the first moment, Danny, it is just darkness. And Kylian walks down ahead of you guys just a little bit, and he almost disappears within 5 foot, and you know you're going to have to do something to fix that. He steps back through just a little bit and looks at you guys, and you can see the white of his teeth and the flash of his eyes and a little shine or two off of metal. Kylian would let you guys know this is the way to go.
So first I would let my eyes slip into normal dark vision that elves have and see if I can see any detail better that way.
You can. And Ignatius, you have this ability as well, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Okay, as does Rainlore. Rainlore is going to take up the rear of the group at this point, okay? Kylian will be the one in the front, followed by Danny, with Ignatius safely kept between Rainlore and Danny's character. Okay, that's the order we'll go in. As you do go down inside of this, this was made when New Gemdar was built. This isn't as old as some of the things you've seen before, but you're almost sure you'll get to that. And this is only wide enough where maybe 3 people can go down this stairwell at a time, and it seems to curve downwards. It has a railing that is actually made out of stone as well. And there are little stone hawks onto the walls that wings are spread up that the railing rests upon as it goes down and curves along. this pathway. Nothing spectacular at this point other than it's old and it smells. And have you ever sat in the quiet before where it's so quiet there's almost a hum in your ears? That is how silent it is when you're down in here. Okay? So is everyone...
with that, realizing he can't see as far as he can, he closes his eyes and uses his Eldritch invocation and opens them back up with, I guess it'd be celestial sight for him.
Practically.
Instead of devil sight, since his patron's...
kind of magic points from you, Danny?
Mm-hmm.
That's freebie.
Eldritch invocations, most of them are free.
Okay. It is much more precise vision now, but it's limited because you're going down a spiral staircase. So there are limits to how far that will go. Kylian, if there's anything you want to add, feel free to, and I would say you would go ahead and continue leading them downward into what is the first expanse of this subterranean of the city of New Gemdar. Okay? As you go behind, Ignatius, there is a loud grinding sound and snap of something going back into place as the door closes behind you. As you would turn to look at that, Rainlord's looking there and gives you a knowing nod and says, dark humor, man. Dark humor.
There's no going back now.
Okay. Kylian says spookily from the very front, possibly trying to take part in this mortal's game of dark humor. Danny, your character might get this. Ignatius, you find it creepy as fuck, I would have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you go on down through here, Kylian, I'm going to describe this to you, and you lead everyone else on through my words, okay? As you go down, you know that the first expanse, when you go down here, there are many parts. Once we'll be going down this stairway like this for about 15 minutes straight. And as we go down, it actually warms up, guys. The ground temperature, of course, being warmer than that of the surface. Look at your DM knowing shit. I just got to say. As you're going down, little this. As you're going down, I would like you, Dace, to roll me a 1d20.
All right. Do you want anything added to it?
Nope.
15.
Okay. As you're going down, you pick up on something. You hear something. As if it is maybe 2 or 3 evolutions below you guys. And it seems like a supernatural echoed cry of some kind. Like you've been hearing things like that quite a bit lately down here since this disturbance has happened. What is most eerie about it is when you try to echolocate or see the physical dimensions of these things, there's never anything there. Okay? And this one is somewhat sharp and goes across. You understand that you can hear down here better than anyone else can, but this is almost borderline. You're thinking someone else may have heard this. You're reminding yourself, be strong, this is my home. But you're also glad to have the company that you do with you. You know that Bastille is a very well-proven warrior, has done well by you in the past. But if you're a guide worth your weight, you won't let them just walk into something perilous. What do you do?
Well, Kylian turns back to them all. And even though he knows he's probably the only one who can hear it, he looks at everyone and says, I'm going to assume that you cannot hear this, but do you hear anything?
Danny, roll a perception check of disadvantage.
16 with disadvantage.
Okay.
Expertise is a beautiful thing.
Ron, go ahead and do the same thing.
12.
No, they do not. There's a pause in silence from them as I would say Danny looks at you with concern because he doesn't like hearing things that someone else is. If I know Danny, yeah. No.
Yeah, actually, he'd start counting
Nicely
as you're
done.
walking.
Nicely done. Okay. With that, Dace, the sound seemed to be here and then gone again. Do you continue walking at this point?
Kylian takes another moment to listen for anything. However, when his companions say that they don't hear anything, he nods and just says, "If you do, tell me immediately and be ready. We're not alone here." And then he continues going forward.
Okay. Rainlore is going to cast something, and as he does, that he has his bow drawn, and there are blue and black ghostly flames coming from an arrow that he has notched as the lance is on his back as he is leaning forward now. The lights flicker amongst the columns and stone work that goes down past you, Kylian, and you guys. And you know that he has knocked the bow and enchanted, almost like doing a divine smite, almost like a paladin would in their nature. He is a 2 arrows knocked and ready. He has a multi-shot he can perform, and is walking along slowly, rubbing his back against the wall to help maintain his posture.
Yeah. Bass says, "How far does this stairwell go down?"
It's quite deep. It goes on for a while. Unfortunately, we don't have any other faster way of getting up. Well, you don't at least.
Okay. Ron, anything, or we're just going to continue?
I'm just kind of taking stock in everything and
Okay.
making my way through.
Okay. Making my way through town. There's the TV show that has that. I forget. So anyway, you guys continue to go down this direction. You don't hear anything else, Kylian, as you guys carefully make your way down the steps. The eerie blue and black ghostly flames that emanate from Rainlore shine past your feet, and you can see your shadows on the wall, which play tricks on your eyes just a little bit. But every once in a while, when you do your little clicks and ticks, you don't sense that anything physical is there. I will give you that. Roll me a perception check, Dace.
All right. With just gotta check thing. 17.
Okay. You know you're about 5 minutes from reaching the very bottom, which will be the very first expanse. And in that expanse, you know, there is one of the very first passageways that opens up. There's like a larger room here that is going to be every bit of like 100 by 150. It's almost like a grand hallway that has many pillars that reach from the ceiling to the floor. There are old royal carpets and rugs that are mildewed and molded that lay across the floor down in here. And there are the depiction of many different hawks and many different things like that etched into these pillars that hold up these ceilings. There is a passageway that continues down from here, and then there is a passageway that leads to Vander's that we've discussed. The great hallways that house all the items and things like that. It is sealed by a door that has the symbol of an open book with a sun inside of it. You have never been given a key for this particular room, but you do know where it leads. Okay? As you make your way down to the steps, there is still no particular sound or anything of that nature. Okay? As you come out into the large expanse, you guys would see the blue and black flames and the gray lights just kind of shine out into a large grand room. Okay, and you take in what I've just described to Kylian's character. Does anyone have anything to say at this point?
I guess I would ask him, what type of creatures do you think we'll be encountering down here?
That truly depends on where and when we are. Right now, we shouldn't be finding anything. But the further we go, the deeper we go, there are more chances of us running into something that runs into us more than anything else.
Okay.
We should, however, be safe if we continue on. Staying in one place for too long is not safe.
Roll another perception check, please, Kylian.
Nat 20.
Okay. They're contagious. Okay. When you do that, it's almost like you didn't see it, but you did. As you were scanning through the room and clicking, you were feeling the reverberation of all the pillars coming back to you, and you were looking around, and you looked past something, and then you stop for a minute. You feel your breath go cold. You look back a little bit as if you don't believe what your eyes have caught. And you see something off in the distance that you have never seen down here before. You see what looks like the back of some entity. It seems to have a large, long flowing robe that is torn up and blood-soaked and tattered, walking away from you, that is extremely tall with a chainmail hood. This is ghostly and has the colors of death upon it. And it is walking away from you all the way on the other side of the room, which is 100 foot away. In its arms, hanging down from both arms, Dace, it has two large flails. And from each flail are these long chains that hang down. And at the end of each one of these flails is a skull. And the skulls, once you turn back around and look to it, and you're looking at it in disbelief, you can hear the gentle chiming of the chains against the floor, as if it's like musical rain to your ears. And the sound of the bone being drug across the floor as this thing walks away from you, straight into a wall, and vanishes. This thing was 7.5 foot tall. I need you to roll a Constitution saving throw.
Constitution save. All right. Constitution. I got a 16.
Okay. You, being as jumpy and timid as you are used to dealing with all kind of things in the dark. This is new. This is something that's been going on lately, and this is the most you've had contact and seen something like this before. You feel frozen for just a moment. Your lips shudder, trying to get out the words to let the others know that they've seen something, but you cannot find the language. Fear has almost overtaken you, and just in the last instance, some kind of courage festers up inside of you as you are able to make words for what you've just witnessed. Although you're not even sure you truly did. It seems so strange. What do you say?
There's something new here. I hope you all know. I hope you'll have sharpened your weapons. I think we might be seeing that again.
Okay, when he says that, you see the lights move right and left as if Rainlore is scanning the room. Instinctually, Danny, because you and Rainlore's bond is so well, you would know to take more of a crouched position as he usually shoots over top of your shoulders and your head. And it's shit like this. And when you see that light shifting along here, you know he is scanning the room to look himself. I'm going to roll something for him. Rainlore does not see anything. Okay, like for you two to make perception checks at disadvantage, please. Let me know what you're doing.
I'll be looking with my newfound sight.
Okay, no problem.
24.
Okay. Ron, what'd you get?
All right. Yeah, it's my natural one. So
Okay.
that puts me at 10.
Which is great, though, because, Ron, your character would be nervous in this. I mean, you are
Yes.
not Lancelot, my friend. So this just adds to the role-playing of this. But, buddy, you're good when it counts. I've seen it. So
Yeah.
don't be down on yourself, okay, bud? Ones are cool, too. Ron...
I pride myself on being observant, though. I mean, that's part of his build. He's just dropping the ball today.
With that, Ron looks around. He seems visibly shaken to Rainlore. The way Ron's head is going around, he is not looking over things as the archaeologist that he is. Danny, you don't see anything, but with that check, you do hear the light jingle and rattle of chains across the floor echo off the walls in the distance. Ron, you were going to say something. What was it, buddy?
I was going to say, in my defense, typically when I'm in places like this, they've already been cleared out, and I know they're safe.
That's true. We have kind of spoiled him. It's true. It's true.
I mean, well, not just in the group, but I mean, all my years, in the Avian City, all the research and stuff, I never had to worry about monsters at the research sites. And
true. That's true, man.
I mean, the only battle I've ever been in was with that behemoth or whatever. So
nice.
Still a little green.
It's all good. It's all good, buddy. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, as that happens, Kylian, you would continue to lead them through the middle of this place. Do you have anything you have prepared, Kylian, or weapons drawn? Do you have any certain spell you've cast upon yourself? Is there anything that you're choosing to do?
Kylian, after seeing that, the not recognizing it is, and his timid nature has him a bit on the more on the edge a bit now. So he's definitely got his weapon out. Okay. So yeah, no, he's going to be leading with weapons out, and he tells the group to do the same because that's something he's never seen down here before, and he doesn't know if it's going to come back. But after letting everyone know, he ushers them to keep moving, knowing that that's there. He wants to get them there as soon as possible.
Interesting. Okay. Now, did you see the picture I put of that sword onto your file folder?
I did, yes.
Those are what your blades look like. They are considered short swords, and that is something very customary that your people use in combat and that you've always used. And a lot of times, if you use a blade like that and you strike at an object to locate and stuff, you get advantage when using those weapons. So if you're locating something in the dark and you're doing a perception check and you smack something with one of those blades, you take an attack to do it, you get advantage on seeing things, okay? Something to keep in your back pocket. Moving forward, Danny, with the check that you rolled and hearing those chains as you guys walk through the middle, you see a door with a familiar symbol on it. Over to your left, you see pillars that adorn the sides of this thing that seem to have their symbols built onto the pillars too. You recognize some of that writing. And this looks like one of the many doors that's down in those vaults underneath Vander's shop. What are you saying? What are you doing?
Now that's interesting. He'd start walking over towards it. Is it angelic runes, or is it just runes like under Vander's?
It's runes like Vander's. They're not made by an angelic hand. They're reproductions of those kind of markings that you're familiar with, something the Scholars of Dawn use in their lingo. When you do that, you hear a whispered voice from Rainlore. Where are you going, man?
Look at the door, man.
He looks over in the same direction as you. He says, I got to tell you the truth. I've seen doors before it, but doesn't seem that's the way a dude's wanting us to go. He goes, well, what are you thinking?
I know that. I know that symbol.
Okay.
And that would probably be the first time he makes eye contact with him, and he'd see the difference, all the color gone in Bast's eyes.
Okay. He absolutely notices that. He takes pause for a minute, as maybe you didn't even realize that, oh shit, my eyes do look different. As you see a curious look wash over Rainlord's face briefly. He pulls on his, he takes his shoulder and rubs on his chin like that as he still has the arrows, double arrows knocked, and releases them a bit where there's no tension on the string, but they're still on his hand. And he lowers it down to the side. Ignatius, you hear these two whispering about something Danny's noticed over to the side. And they seem to have stopped, and Kylian seems to be walking on forward. Kylian, you would notice that the group has slowed, and there is a conversation going on back behind you. Danny, what are you doing?
He says, I know those runes, man.
Killing names. So Raynor looks over to you and says, "From where?"
From Vander.
Okay. He just kind of looks at you for a minute and he goes, "So what? Are you wanting to go to Vander's now?"
I'm just curious.
Okay, what are you
At this
doing?
point, I would kind of lean back and being as nervous as I am right now, I'd be like, we should probably be staying on the path kind of thing.
Roll a. What is the check that you roll to see if you can talk someone into some shit? Persuasion. Roll a persuasion check, Ron. Make this fool listen to you. Alex, we'll get to a certain point here and we'll jump back over to yours for a brief few moments, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
17.
This is the main attraction right here, so I'm sorry. We'll get you involved in some shit here in a little bit. Thanks for hanging in there, okay?
Problem.
All right. What was it again, Ron? I'm sorry.
17.
Danny, I want you to roll a charisma saving throw. With a
18.
18. Fucking stubborn son of a bitch. So you're saying that to him. It's like you're trying to tell a kid, you don't need that candy before dinner. Now, Bastille. But he's like, oh, but that's candy. Oh, baby. You know, it's not working. And he is slowly kind of like, and you can see he's kind of guilty. But Danny's still motioning. He may be walking backwards and keeping eye contact with you, Ignatius, but he is still going over to investigate the door. Danny, by all means, go ahead and continue.
Damn it. Here we go.
Duffy, the pain in everyone's ass, ladies and gentlemen. Go on. It's all good. Make it happen.
Bass walks right up to it, man, starts looking at that rune and seeing if he can decipher what it says.
Okay, investigation.
Natural 17 plus
That'll do.
8.
That'll do. Jesus, jumped up, crashed the pogo stick. Okay, so as you are interpreting it, it does tell you the what the symbol represents. As far as extra information that it would say, it would have a date on it in which the door was created, and that date is about from 175 years ago. And it would also have a phrase on it depicting something, a limerick or a typical thing that the scholars of Dawn say when they're protecting something, like beyond these hallowed doors lies the remnants of things that should not be. Okay? And this seems to be a harsher warning than anything that you've seen on the doors on your end of it. Okay? This seems to be older. This seems to be maybe pre anything Vander has shown you. This could lead directly to that kind of shit. This could lead to a part of that because you understand that you've seen just the surface of what lays underneath his shop. The place that you reside in that you can transport to if you need to is still on the very first level of this thing. And if you've been traveling down this long, this far up into the city, I mean, it really stirs your mind as to what exactly, how big these vaults that he has down here. How many things has he collected over time? You know Vander's old. And you know he's not the only one of these people. And he is not the eldest that you know of. Lots of questions. But it doesn't say anything. All it lets you know is this is a sealed passage to that way. And it's an older passage than you've ever seen. What do you do?
Puts his hand on the door and he says, it's not a good idea.
Rainlord says, just figuring that out. Nice. He smiles sarcastically. And he looks at Ignatius and kind of puts his head up. Kylian, after a brief moment there, and they're having some discussion over one of those doors to the side, the group seems to start to catch back up with you. The distance between you and them made you more nervous than you thought you would be. The vision of this thing, not even acknowledging you but walking away, has unnerved you to some point.
As we're walking, he starts trying to calm Ignatius by talking about spells, and he says, I see Rainlord draw that bow, and I'm wondering if one could hold a spell like a drawn arrow.
Okay, Ignatius, you bite? What are you thinking? You having a conversation?
Yeah, I'll have a conversation.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would think that there would definitely have to be a way to make a spell hold its charged in almost a delayed release.
Okay. So, and not to interrupt you, but as you guys talk about these things and make mundane conversation, the group continues on. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this in act actually, Ignatius, gets you focused on something else other than that, and you seem to find yourself in explaining and knowledge. Kylian, you come to the far end, and there is a passage way there. It's a pretty big doorway at the far end of this thing. And it is made in the same demeanor that the main gate of the city is. It is two muraled doors that would naturally be side by side. But the pictures and images on these doors that are carved in the stone overlap each other to where it is an interlocking door. Okay? And on this one down here, you see a depiction of a battle between angels and demons. At this level, Danny. You would see the wing of an angel and a spear in the hand overlap the door on this side. You would see a demon with his hand forward and some kind of force of power coming from him, and his tail and part of his cloak, maybe even part of one of his horns, would be overlapping the bottom part of the door, making this very artistic, joined up, sealed door. In the central circle of that door, there seems to be another one of those symbols that looks like an emblem of a hawk could be placed into the central location of it to unlock the door. Kylian, you have one of these on you. Okay? That you were given by the king. And as you reach for it, you remember the conversation that he had with you. I'll do a brief little thing here, a flashback for you, Kylian. You remember King Omadon, the first time you met him. The deep crevices into his face, this bassist tone that was different than any other mortal voice you'd ever heard. It almost looked in the air like poetry. As he looked at you with green eyes and a deep brow, he looks older than you maybe ever will. And you remember this chuckle when he looked at you, and he says, so interested in the things from above. You're unlike the rest of your kind, Kylian. He said to you back in the day. And he says, know that I can give you the information you seek. But please, try not to startle your kind. There are many things that we are dealing with above. Many problems that we have. Problems that need not concern you and your people. At that point, he takes both of his hands and he puts them on your shoulders, Kylian, as he is just several inches taller than your character. Okay? And he looks at you up through his eyebrows and he goes, your people keep us safe. There is not a child that sleeps under my banner that wouldn't thank you if they knew of your existence. Let that blanket keep you warm at night. The knowing of things. The knowing that you are going to find more of your people. And the ones here are safe because of your sacrifice. And he goes, if you are to need anything for the others, you need but ask. And that is when he gave you the key some years ago. He has given you a collection of different kind of books at your request over the years. He has told you stories of different tales that have been happening from up above as you meet him. You've also met Landorus a handful of times. His court mage, the one that looks like Agent Smith and Ulran, which has the black and gold sorcerer's robes and stuff, and has the grandiose voice and ends all his things in a long drawl. That's how he talks and everything he says. He can't help but always ask you questions about your people, and you always feel a bit defensive around Landorus. You know he has the king's best intention in mind, but you can't remember a conversation that ever took place with Landorus without it ending with something like, how safe do you really believe you are here? He might even end a thing, it's like that. A person with abilities like that could do almost anything they would want in our city. And gives you curious looks. He always ends your conversations on a note like, it makes you uncertain. It makes you feel kind of bad. It makes you, that's his job. He's very defensive of the city. Okay?
Yep.
With that, you have this emblem. You know to place it in there and turn it will unlock this door. What are you doing?
After reminiscing on the key for a moment, and having overheard the conversation about the ruined door, Kylian looks at them all and just says, Once we enter the crypt, don't go near any more rooms. They must be left alone. Stay on the path. Follow me.
Roll a check with advantage on persuasion.
Yep. Okay. Oh, wow.
What do you do? What did you do?
First one was a nat 1. The second one was a nat 20.
There you go. So, all right.
These dice, you're lucky. I'm going to
You're
make
right,
a note of that.
it would have been like
I'm
everything he says has a question mark after it with a 1. It's like, stay close to me.
Stay close to me.
Don't go by the door.
Don't go by the door.
I know. And so he rolled at 20 plus bonuses. Danny,
Yeah, plus bonus.
Since you seem to be the one he's really talking to here, bud, why don't you roll to see if he's got you on course?
Yeah, I was going to say, I really don't need to roll for this. I'm persuaded. I'm not touching the ruins.
Ron's like, fuck yeah.
Don't touch the ruins. Got it.
Got it. This guy who has 2 thumbs.
Take a note. Don't touch the ruins.
That's awesome. What'd you roll, Danny?
18 plus 7.
You vicious bastard. You are a vicious bastard is what you are. I swear. You got Ignatius like, absolutely. You got Raymore like, man, let's go. You got Bastille like, but come on.
Come on.
Yeah. You still don't have him.
Touch one ruin?
God.
Going back to the Dragonlance days, the Rogan, but it might be shiny.
It might be shiny.
There are things back there that must Never. That must never be known.
As
For
he's trying so hard.
we can, if those runes are removed, we can't put them back.
Okay.
So you're saying there's knowledge there that no one else has?
He's not helping.
If
This is
knowledge
going
is
nowhere.
certain death,
This is going nowhere. So with
just
that,
follow
until we come to the
me.
next door, let's just try to sally forth here as best we can, okay? This is why it takes us 2 hours to go from one room to the other in this thing. But it's all good. It's what we had.
Hurrah, we moved 15 feet instead of 10.
You know?
We're still waiting at the doorway.
Yeah, it's like watching old men.
We haven't even-
Yes. It's like,
How about we worry about going through this door, and we'll discuss the rest of them as we approach them.
as that
Where's your
happens,
sense of
Rainbow
adventure?
That's when Kylian puts the key in.
Go ahead. Okay, you put the key in, you twist
Yep.
it as it does. It's neat to see these images separate in the way they do. And you see a little bit of the dust stone in the, you smell even older smells come through. And as it does come through this way, there is a wind and there are several bats that come out of these lower ways. That tells you a couple things. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, keep it to yourselves. But there are some bats that reside in here. There is a warmth that comes out of this level. And when this doorway opens, you hear it grinding back into the walls and it stops. Okay? Kylian, as the bats go around, roll a perception check, please, for me.
Hey, Bob!
Yeah. Hey, man.
All right.
I'm Bob the Bat. What's up?
All right.
Go
Let's
to
just
get some
just need to check my bonus again. There you are. I got a 23.
My God, you and Danny cut from the same dice. Okay, so
Oh, my combat will be terrible.
upon doing that, you see with that roll.
I know your mic may be.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I
You're
would
sounding
check
quiet.
your microphone.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I keep pushing it away from me because I've got all these damn papers here. Because DMs, they got papers and shit. Does that sound clear for you guys now?
Absolutely.
Is that studio quality testing? Sibilus. 1, 2, Sibilus. All right. So, with that, you enter the next room. Nothing apparently there. It's oddly still. You're looking on the other side of this, and you know that whatever walked through that wall came through here. You were almost half expecting to see something else. And it's just as shocking to you, Kylian, that there is nothing than there is that there would have been something, if that makes any sense. If I even said that right.
No, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
It's weird that there's nothing there.
That's what I should have said, but I did it my way. So, having said or not to have said and blah. So, as that happens, there are 3 other passageways that lead down 3 different spiral staircases, very similar to the ones that we had before. Above each one, and this room is higher and taller than the other rooms. Okay, Danny? And through the ceiling of this place, high up, there are stone slabs that go through the walls from one to the other with seemingly no purpose exactly as to why they are that way.
How's the light in the room?
There still is none, but there is an iron chandelier that is made of the silhouette that looks very similar to the crown that King Omadon wears on his head, that hangs with ancient candles that have been burned down to nothing and about 12 different wicks laying around this, and it swings ever so slightly from the gust that came through the door, and it creaks eerily every so many seconds.
One day that's gonna fall on all our heads. I just know it.
Nicely played. As you say that,
I would step out from underneath where the chandelier is swinging.
well played.
Sidestep over to the side a little bit.
Rainlord chuckles and says, "Man, you're too fucking easy, bud." He says like that, and walks on in.
Then
Go ahead.
Bass really starts to laugh after Rainlore starts chuckling. I mean, he starts laughing, and he's looking at the steps when he laughs.
Kylian, you find that you're being able to reach them with a sense of humor very pleasurable. It is nice that you're able to communicate with them like that. It is a move in the right way towards humanity for you. Okay.
He says, Kylian, how many more of these steps do we have?
He just pulls up his hand and he just starts counting.
And
He's
starts
there
laughing.
for a while, and he's just laughing.
Okay.
And Bass starts laughing even more. And he looks over at Ignatius and he goes, "We got to come back up him." And he points at Rainlord.
That's funny. Rainlord smiles and he goes, "I've got this."
I lean over to Rainlord and I say, "I've got wings."
You don't want to go too high. Things like to stab at anything that goes too close to the roof.
Okay.
I'm just talking about flying back up the stairs.
Right on. Yeah, right on. It's like I'll just drift this mother, you know.
Though my surface friends, I don't tend to trust these stairs going up because they're always up to something. Sorry, I've been trying to make that joke for so long.
What happened to our game? What happened to our game? Okay, so
first session, pun off the bat.
boom, yeah, it's all good stuff. So there's a comedy club we need to get your character in. It's called the Laughing Satire. It's in New Gamdar and it's owned by a satire. We're gonna have to get you there so you can put on your shit. Can you imagine what? Anyway, we'll get into that after this.
Yeah.
Let's let the human drama unfold as we go. So as you have that moment, all these stairways are actually going further down, Kylian. There are no stairs going up. So in the theater of the mind, they are all tunneling further down. Okay. There are images depicted on the ceiling above each one of these three doorways. They are all distinctly constructed differently. The one, Kylian, the one that you know you are going to, is the one on the far left, and it depicts an image of the crown, and a crown has a hawk nesting in it. And there's a mural of that put on the wall in a nice placard above that actual doorway. And there is a very old and mildewed black and gold banner that hangs off of two flagpoles in front of this door. These things are old, Danny. You've never seen a banner this old in this city. You would almost have to imagine this came from the original Gemdar and was brought here. Okay? This one would seem to depict to you, and Kylian, you know for certain that this one goes into the royal vaults. But there are two other doors. The central door depicts something pretty different. There is what seems to be a circular pattern, okay, that is the equivalent of like the Mayan death calendar. But the writing on this is in Dayhon and Nocturne, which languages are very, very similar. The Nocturnes are just a little bit different and a little bit more elegant than theirs. You are not familiar with these languages. Kylian, you have seen this many different times. And when you look to that image up there above this door, you know that that leads to, and I'll be better at these once we've done them for a while. Just a minute here, guys. Okay. That would lead to the sealed passages of Neneth the Savior. Okay. Nenoth, Nenath, was the name of one of the very first Nocturne that rushed through that passageway pursued by Dar Eblin and helped seal it shut behind them so the Dar Eblin didn't come over and murder all the mortals that had found this place were in the midst of constructing New Gemdar. Your people, when you weren't born yet, but these people ran for their lives and came through this large, expansive passage that was made by nature and time that led into the underneath of this mountain that they built this onto. Okay? Now, when your people ran through this passage, you know that they had the ability to control and meld stone. Okay? And I will explain it like this. If you've ever watched Ancient Aliens, I know some people have. The writers are on smiling. There are these walls that they talk about that are impossibly accurate, where it looks like the stones were actually melted together, where you cannot fit a piece of paper between them. They are all different rounded shapes and odd and stuff like that. Do you remember what the name of that place is, Ron?
No.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. This passage, Dace, is at least a quarter mile thick of stones like that melded together by your people. Each one has different symbols and runes on it that still show off faint glows to this day. The Dar Eblins couldn't even imagine touching or moving those. Okay? And they built this passage, and that character's name that I told you there, that Nenath, was one of the proprietors of that. And they are called the Sealed Passageways of Nenath the Savior. Okay? Elders of your kind are familiar with a type of magic that they have called geomancy. They are geomancers. So mostly any race of yours that isn't martial in their practices this form of melding stone, walking through stone, and you use that. There are certain ones of your race of people in your colony that live here, and it's important that we call you a colony, okay, that move and manipulate passageways so small parties of adventurers of your kind can delve back into the very dangerous deep depths of the netherworld and try to rescue what survivors you can. There are times when you'll go by that wall and rest your hand on it and focus, and you know that there is pain and suffering that your people are still going through on the other side of that wall. You are lucky to be born free. And because of that, you cannot wait for the day when you are more of a badass and you can be part of more of these adventuring parties and be able to go over there and bring more of your people back to this place that you've called home. Okay? That passage leads to that. The far right.
Yes, I remember that one.
The far right passage is something, Danny, that you have seen, but you've only seen it one time before. Ron, I need you to roll me a history check, please.
For what? I guess.
Not
I've
going
got
to
some
tell you.
bonuses. Depending on what. Let me see here. Because of.
This is where you would give me a list of the things that you would have bonuses with, and I'll tell you if this falls under that.
Right. That's what I'm looking for now.
Okay, buddy.
Let me see.
No pressure.
A lot of reading.
I hope my versions of Kylian's voice is all right for everybody from the last one.
Yes.
Well,
The whispery one, the one you did to open up with the clicks afterwards, in dramatic scenes, man, do that shit. That was fantastic. And you don't have to be that dramatic all the time, but it works really well. Yeah. And as long as it's not hard for you to do. Yeah.
No, it's not. I ran out of water afterwards.
Right on, yeah. He's dry.
Yeah, no, it's a doing it for the extended like that. Doing it that in depth really does like it dries out my throat. Once I've drunk, I can do it again. It's fine.
Hey, we're professionals here. We got to keep that shit to our. You got to hold it together, Dace. Now, come on,
yeah.
come on, buddy.
So I'm definitely gonna do that one again. I'm gonna try and do that one again for that door because I've got an idea of what to do.
That's cool.
But yeah, I'm just glad to know that the new Kylian's voice everyone's okay with.
All right, Ron, what did you find out, buddy?
What I've got is just straight to history, so there's nothing that breaks it out for different things. So
Go ahead and just roll me a basic check, and with your bonuses, tell me what you get.
18.
Okay, Alex, roll me a 1d20 and a 1d4 and tell me your total, please.
Alrighty.
If we know Alex, this is going to be low, Ron.
You just cursed her. Cursed
I
it.
know.
It's gonna be 2 1s.
Yeah, a 1 and a 20.
20 and a 4.
7 and a 2.
What is it?
What?
A 7 and a 2.
9. Ron, this is talking about giants.
Okay.
You've doubled the DC on what this is. And this is something in particularly that you studied. You realized that giants were the original architects of the world in your studies. You don't talk about this very much because to give them credit for the things they've done at the beginning of the Age of Dreams versus the atrocities and the things that they did with that power later, they're not worth mentioning to you because you feel like it'd be giving them too much credit. Okay? But in this doorway, depicted above this here, is very plain mural. Or not mural, but a stone sign that says, here lies the Titan's last hope. Malekin. Malekin. Danny, you see the name Malekin, even written in Giants, you recognize it from the books that you've went through. This doorway is unimpressive, but it is thicker than the rest of them, and it's the only one of these 3 that are actually sealed. The other middle one is open, as if someone has recently went to there, and the one on the far left that has the symbol of the hawk in the crown is open. We'll start with Danny. What are you guys doing?
Points to that door and he says, you know, those ghosts can get in there.
Who are you
There's some
speaking
hefty
to?
shit back there.
Rainlore looks over your shoulder. Looks at you and he goes, I say let it fucking stay there.
Hopefully for all of time.
Okay. Ron, are you saying anything about it?
I don't think I'm saying anything yet. Or, well, I don't know. How much do I know about Malekin or anything like that? I mean, I know you're saying I read, you know, I can see the sign and.
Do you remember me telling you the story of it outside the game?
I don't remember.
You know that it has something to do with the giants finding their lost power. And Malekin is supposedly the thing that holds the key. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, Bass would actually, as he's putting it together, he'd go, that's why the giants come here.
And this just dawned on you?
Yeah.
As a character?
Yeah.
Okay. So make note that you just had that realization. Okay?
He said, this is what we're not supposed to leave here with. This is what's got to stay secret.
Okay. So you guys can have a further conversation about that when you get on the surface or something else. But at this point, Danny is making a note. As curious as his character typically is, that this is something that we need to act as if we never uncovered. That is actually here. Okay. Kylian, what are you saying to the group? You know the door on the left is the one you want to take? What are you doing?
He's listening to their conversation, but sort of he's listening to it, but he walks over to the door or the passageway where the one that needs to stay permanently sealed.
Yeah.
And he puts his he sort of puts his he doesn't touch it. He kind of moves it. He puts his hand on like one of the closer pillars of the room. One day we will go back, and you will all come home. And then he moves back to everyone and sort of kind of ushers them to the vaults.
Okay. All right. So he was making that notation over the door that leads, that had the death thing. It looks like Darieblin writing and things of that nature.
Yeah.
You move over to the other doorway. Are you headed in?
Yeah, I'm sort of like all ushering everybody through the vaults.
Okay. Rainlore is okay with that, and he continues on following you. What about the rest of you?
Staying in tow. Probably
Following.
side by side with Rainlore.
Okay. As you go down inside, and you were in another one of these long spiral staircases. These are about 10 foot wide, by the way. So there's room to walk shoulder by shoulder going down them. As you head down them, Rainlore still has that arrow emanating that ghostly flame past your all's feet. You can see the shadow of your legs on the walls. You hear the chains once again, Dace. You're getting close to where the bottom of the stairway is, and you know that this actually opens up into the crypts itself. It smells desolate down here, and Danny, I need you to roll a charisma check.
12.
You hear a very simple voice in your head, a voice from your past, a voice that's very familiar to you, and it is the voice of your father, almost as if it's a memory. And it says to you, and you see yourself looking up at a chalkboard, sitting in a chair. And it looks up to you, and it is saying muffled words. When you look onto the chalkboard, you see a very blurred image of something. You see these long chains that he has drawn with skulls on the ends of them. And you see a shrouded figure, as if he's teaching you something about these. And you can't make out many of the words. It's very muffled, as if it's underwater, and he's very unclear. Rainlore would notice that you'd stop for a minute and your eyes would be closed. And you understand one simple phrase out of this with that roll. It would be, let me see how I want to word this because of your roll, because it could have been different things here. It says, they are linked. It's what you hear. Okay? Then the memory fades. And you come back to, Rainlore is looking at you. Goes, you all right, man? What's going on? We're here.
Good, man.
As you say that, at that point,
Here.
you would walk out into an opening, which is the actual royal crypts. Okay? I will describe this for you in a short way, and then I will show you what it looks like, because I have a map. You see large hawk statues that adorn and stand hovering over in an eternal watch of tombs that seem to be transported here from other places. These tombs are far older than the actual room that they lay in. With your sight and the way it is, and the black and blue flames and purple flames flicker from Ring War's arrowheads, it is a frightening thing to look down here, and you hear the rattle of chains getting ever louder, echoing off the walls here as if it is everywhere. Dace, when you are trying to locate this, you hear the sound echoing off everything, and it is so turbulent to the point that you almost cannot stand to try to centralize it. It's not that it's loud, it's that it is very faint, but it is everywhere. Okay? It would really affect your ability to focus in on one particular thing, and there's a little bit of fear in you that it could be hindering that sense even more just by its presence in this enclosed place. You've never had this particularly happen to you before. Okay? Ron, this reminds you a lot of the sealed gate to the avian city that was opened up in a similar architecture. There's a similar presence in here. And you feel roll a charisma saving throw, Ron.
15.
For just a brief moment, you feel as if a chill has come over you and then it's gone. As you can't identify what it was, you have been under the effects of many different kinds of magic, albeit from demonic things to ancient things to runes in the avian city that you've uncovered. This feels like something washed over you then was gone, as if it was searching out for something. It made your feathers stand up on your head and give you chills. Okay? Danny, you feel as if you don't know if you could reach your patron or not from here. You may be beyond Ardanian's sight here. Or no, Raytheon's sight in this place. Okay. And with that, I would like to share something with you all.
I was about to say, would this be a good time to pause and go back to what the others are doing?
I'm going to show this map, then we're going to do that. We're going to take probably a 10 or 15 minute break to piss, get something to drink after I show you this map. Okay, let's do share screen. Okay, and then let's do this. As you guys come down the bottom of the spiral staircase right here, okay, and you come into the expanse, what you see is this. A very dimly lit chamber that reaches out past you all. Okay, I just have to move two things around here because I didn't know what how you would be. So let me move two people around here real quick. Just a minute. Yeah. And let's move Iggy up here where he belongs. Okay. And with that, we are here within the Royal Crypts. With that, we will take a quick 10-minute break or so. Go ahead and try to get something to drink. Take a piss, do what you got to do, get another beer. Danny left. He goes, I'm beering it. I'm gone. I'm going to try to pause this video without stopping it because I have an issue with doing that, and I will see you guys here in about 10. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Good with me.
All right, cool. Okay, we're recording again. Break's over. We're going to go at least till 10 tonight and try to get through some things. We have finally got the other group into the crypts, And into the entrance, we have that map up. And now we are getting ready to go back towards Alex and Danny McGuffey for just a short minute. Let me turn this down for that. Okay, so having said that, let's move on to Alex and Danny. So Danny, you covered up Dauntus, piss-soaked and half frozen, stuck to the deck of the Lylone. Alex, you were going to find Medalia, the ship mage, to see if you could possibly have her lend you a hand in watching over Danny's what would appear to be lifeless body as you guys venture into the Soul Stone. Are you heading towards her door, or how exactly do you want to do this?
I'd like to head towards her door, and after thinking about it for a few moments, knock lightly.
Okay. As you do, you hear papers rustling. Underneath of the door, you see footsteps, shadowed, walking back and forth. As you wait there for a minute, you hear some clumsy and uncomfortable scurrying of things on the other side, and you hear her voice, and she goes, just a moment. I've so many papers. And you hear something kind of knock over. She says, damn it, she says, as she continues to scurry on the other side, and she comes over to the door, and she turns the doorknob slightly and cracks open the door and looks at you with her face pressed up against the doorway. She looks at you for a moment and opens it up the rest of the way. She goes, oh, it's you. Hi. Were you part of all that noise up there earlier? Those guys never go to sleep.
Oh, I was barely part of it.
She goes, she goes, I hope they didn't leave all the cleanup for us tomorrow. Gods only know how ridiculous that is. And she looks at you for a minute, realizing that this is one of the first times you've came to her door, whereas usually she goes to yours. And when that realization hits her, she looks to you and she goes, what can I do for you tonight, Oma?
Well, I was wondering if you would have some time tonight in amongst your studies. You can even bring your studies with you to watch over someone while I perform, while the two of us perform a ritual of sorts.
She looks at you and she's kind of holding her mouth open and nodding you along, seeing that you're having a hard time asking her of this. You're not exactly sure how. And she's seeing that struggle to a degree. And she's looking at you and she goes, just a minute. She knows exactly what you're talking about. She's familiar with the Soul Stone. She has been around when you have went into it before, although she's never went with you. She goes, you know, of course I would, Oma, but, and she gives you a knowing look. She goes, why do you plan on going inside? Is everything okay? And she has concern on her face.
Oh, everything is fine. I just feel I need some practice. Taking more initiative.
She looks at you with concern, and you feel a hand as you're closing your eyes and you're kind of thinking about the words like you are right now, getting ready to say. You feel a finger trail through your hair and push it back out of your face. And it's her reaching out and looking at you gently. And she goes, we don't have to be heroes all the time, Oma. Whatever happened, I'm sure it's fine. You didn't ask for this ride. You just kind of got brought on board, you know? She looks at you very understanding about that. She goes, sometimes the others on the ship may seem brave. But I personally think they're quite foolish. In a way, try not to lose that kind of foresight, okay?
I just don't want anyone risking themselves for me. I want to hold my own, you know?
She looks at you and she goes, I can get behind that. Agreed. You're not the only one that people have went out of their way and risked life and limb for in these last year or so. And you remember that she had that slave crown on her, and there was a huge adventure just to save her and bring her back to the ship. So she can identify with what you're going through there. She says, let me grab some things immediately. We'll get right to it. And who else is going to be joining you in this ritual?
Dayhon.
She gulps kind of loudly and looks at you. And she says to you, you surely to God you're not comparing yourself to the bravery of that buffoon. She says to you and smiles. And she goes, even the bull is brave until it faces the butcher.
Mhm.
She says, but of course. And she's holding so many books and scrolls that she damn near can't. And she's holding some underneath her chin as she's making her way towards you to walk across the hallway to go into your room. Okay?
Okay.
As she does, you guys walk into the door and she literally opens up and things drop and fall into your bed space and things. It hits into one of your dream catcher like charms and you hear almost the sugar cane like chimes clink together against each other. She nervously tries to grab them and goes, oh, shh, like because she knows it's making a little bit too much noise, and she looks over at you with like half a grin on her face, laughing as she does at her own clumsiness and ignorance sometimes. It's so funny to look at her, as brilliant as she is, how awkward she is sometimes as well. She cocks her rather dark eyebrows up at you and looks at those big brown eyes and says, so when you want to get started? And she looks enthralled a little bit with the whole process. Things like this really drive her attention. I mean, she came over here to help you with very little to ask. This is some neat shit to her, and you know that's the kind of person she is. You kind of were banking on it, to tell you the truth. With that, you just want to go through your normal setup of this, and I'll explain to you what that's like for the first time?
Sure.
Okay, because I don't expect you to know your typical ritual. So as you go over and you open up this almost looks like a flatter version of a treasure chest that has several different rope handles along the side of it. It has different markings on it. It is a kind of design not from this part of Ulran. This seems like it's came from the far east of the sands of the Mere. This has almost more of an Egyptian kind of look to it as an artifact. And as you go through and you open up the case, it opens up in two ways. They part in the middle, then the tops slide down into place, creating a platform. It's a very neat mechanism the way it opens up. And inside of that is the soul stone. You see the reflection of it in Medalia's large brown eyes as she takes it in, fascinated with it. She gets looking closely into it. She goes, I still can't believe that's in there, she says to you. As you look through the purple and blue and gray clouds into it, you look down into that arena that you were in many, many painful times. But this is your version. This is under your control now, and you know that. Okay? With that, you look around, and do you remember, or do we ever talk about what your personal totem is, Alex? I seem like maybe we had a conversation about it, but I can't quite remember it.
I don't quite remember what it was specifically.
I know
But
it was something that had to do with your brother. It was something that he took off and gave to you before he went into a fight one time. It was before he went into the one where he knew he would die. And I can't remember what exactly it was that he took off. But for just the sake of argument, it was some kind of little carved creature, like a carved owl or something like that, wasn't it?
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it was some whittled owl that he had made you when you were kids. And you had always said that possibly when you were in the spirit world one day, you wanted to become one like it. Yeah, because we used that when you put the mask on and went through that trial. You became an owl shortly. So, okay, so that's what it is. It's this small stone or the star sculpture made out of flint, like arrowheads would be made by Indians back in the day. It's made out of flint stone. It's a small owl, and it's your totem. You would gently place it on one of several different, look at that right there beside you. Check this out, guys. She's got a totem. Can't make this shit up, people. Can't make it up. It's good stuff. That's actually extraordinarily ironic. That's awesome that happens. Okay. Damn, that's cool. So you sit it on one of several different pedestals that is also within this case where people's totems can be laid on small platforms, wooden, with bronze and ancient metalworking along the wood. It's a very well-crafted piece here. At that point, Dayhon, you make your way to the door, which is open at this point only halfway, and you see her pull out that owl and sit it down and makes a small tapping sound onto the globe. You're standing in the doorway looking in. They haven't noticed you yet. What are you doing?
Grunt real loud so they know he's there.
Medalia looks up at you unimpressed and goes, the bull enters. And it would almost have to make you chuckle, Alex, because of the conversation she was having about that just a few moments ago. And she looks at you, and then she gives a relaxing, hi, Dayhon. I've heard you've had an infamous night.
He says, yep. Guess I can't hold my liquor.
She goes, well, maybe give me something to hold on to for now. And she looks over at you, Alex, and gives you a knowing nod like she wants to take the totem from Dayhon. Dace thought that was going to a perverted place. Did you see him?
Yep.
God, what is wrong with your brain? There's nothing too
You
sacred.
do not want me to answer that question.
There's a stairway joke earlier, and now he thinks that man, I tell you what, wow. Okay, so anyway, so Medalia is holding out her hand and wants Dayhon to place his throbbing totem. So if you would please, do you remember what Dayhon's totem was?
Yeah, he actually reaches into underneath his gauntlet and he pulls off what on his arm looks like a bracelet, but it's actually a little girl's necklace.
Okay. So so that you guys understand, and we'll give Dace a moment to get over the joke that just happened so we can hone in on the severity of this. So Danny,
I'm good.
it's all good, buddy. It was pretty funny. He gives Medalia the necklace that belonged to his little sister. Okay. Oma, it still pains you to look at this large man that has suffered such a rough exterior and still cannot forgive himself for this. You know he has to a degree. You know the stories he shared with you about her moving on, about the Phoenix spirit, about not blaming himself. You guys have had many talks through that wall as you've laid in your beds at night. But it's still something. But in a way that also comforts you, Oma, because you know that this is a true, very strong totem and bond that Danny has to come back to. Okay? So although sad, it's perfect for what this is. It assures a lot of hope if he starts to get pulled away into the soul stone. With that, Medalia looks at you nervously with a nod, as if she would like to be the one to set it down there. You know this is okay for her to do this. What are you saying to Medalia, Oma?
I just try to reassure that that we'll be back for these.
Okay. Roll a persuasion check. That is a 1d20 plus your charisma bonus. And I believe your charisma for Oma is pretty high.
Okay, so 22.
Very nice. Danny, Oma sounds extraordinarily confident that we will be back to get these totems. And you're thinking that she's already started the process of swelling up a little bit, of becoming that person. In the way that she states this, if that kind of role, you feel confident that you'll be able to be brought back somehow.
He sits down on the floor, crosses his legs, and puts his big hands in his laps and just bows his head, waiting.
Okay, as that happens, I'll describe it to you all like this. As you close your eyes, you feel a small hand touch yours, Danny, and it's Oma. Her hand is dark and tanned and much smaller than yours, and she pulls it to put your hand on the actual orb as she's looking you through her eyes. When she does, she begins to hum a song. Okay? I would like for you already did that 22, we'll just let it carry over, okay? Her performance of this ritual is one of the better ones you've seen in a while. She begins to hum, okay? And as she does, she begins to sing lyrics that sound almost like Native American Indian. You can almost hear the drum beat in your head as if there were a circle of people around us, something that your tribe did a lot back home in your icy homeland, okay? And as you stare into the orb and into the soul stone, the clouds begin to part, okay? The sound gets louder and then traces itself and echoes itself. Certain words seem to stand out more than others as the borders from the actual edge of the glass seem to become less relevant and your eyes seem to be more focused on what is going on inside, as if it's an actual place you're looking at, not an object anymore. You start to feel wind around your face as this transformation starts to happen. You have the sensation of falling. Your guts almost lift up inside your stomach as you can smell the fresh air and things hitting from around you. And all of a sudden, you get the smells of an ancient battle arena. You hear mingled mixed voices as you're falling down fast, going past the gray smoke and clouds that obscure this from view from the outside. The next thing you know, you're standing there. You feel your own weight upon your feet. And you look around at a bare sandstone and clay stone arena floor that has stains of blood and fallen weapons and things that lay about it. As you look into the stands, at the moment, there are a few scattered people here and there, no one of any face or anyone that you would recognize, and they all sit motionless, staring at nothing, as if nothing has attuned to you yet since you've been in this place. You feel something soft in your left hand, Danny, and Oma, you in your right, as you look down and see that you are holding hands still as you were when you touched the orb together. Okay? And now I will share the screen and bring up that map for you all.
I ship it.
Okay. As you were there, Oma, you were over here to the left. Danny, your character is over here to the right. And as you're there and you begin to get your senses, the haze slowly begins to fade from the area, just like this. And just a very few gray and purple clouds of fog emanate from around you as you find yourself in the middle of the arena. Okay? So, as you are there, is there anything that you want to say to her, Dayhon? And Oma, is there anything that you are looking for to find in this place? You know that you can communicate and your thoughts will produce what it is that you wish to see in front of you. You know you're here to test your resolve. You know that you're wanting to try on different things. Danny, what is it that you're actually here for outside of game? Just to protect her or your own path?
I think mostly he's going in for her, and he's starting to look for his next tattoo. He's curious because it's coming.
Okay.
And the other thing is always when he comes in here, he'll be looking for his sister.
Okay. Okay. So that being the case, Oma, what are you visualizing? Have you gave any thought to what you would like to be something that put yourself through a trial of a way? Do you want to just kind of close your eyes and maybe have your brother help put something in here for you to test yourself against to maybe help you along with this lesson? Or do you have something more specific in mind?
I want to first talk with my brother about what has happened recently.
Okay. So Danny, as you two are there, you see Oma and you see her eyes rolling underneath of her eyelids as if she's having a waking dream. And in the distance, you see a flash of movement that fades in and out of existence out of the corner of your eye as if you've had a piece of dust that you can't quite trace. You look again and you see a very familiar figure walking along this far edge of the arena. And it is the large, lumbering image of her fallen brother Tomar, or Omar, that you know him as. And he walks across, leaving a trail behind himself, almost as if a displacer beast's ability was inherited in his own movement. As he does, he hops over the side and lands with a profound thud. And when he lands on the inside of the arena, it's an echoing thud that you can feel through your feet like the bass at a concert. Okay? He walks over between the two of you, centering himself about right here. Okay? And he looks to Oma. And he says, in kind of this dull voice, he goes, "You've changed." And he looks over at you, Dayhon. He locks eyes with you and he goes, "And you've grown." He looks back over and he walks over to Oma, standing in front of her without reaching out to hug her, but just standing there. He is like a good almost foot and a half taller than her. As he looks down, Dayhon, he is maybe just an inch or so taller than you. He is a large, large man. And he is in the battle garb that he was in the last time she saw him. He is in his fighting attire that he was forced to wear in this place. So it's hard to tell what he's been up to in here recently, as he never leaves this place. He could have been in some kind of combat lately. And you do see some marks and scrapes on him. And he seems to be breathing kind of heavily in some solemn kind of way. He says, "I didn't expect to see you here today, sister."
We have I have been through a lot recently that has put some things in perspective. Um,
He starts to cock a grin, and his hand reaches out, and he picks your chin up a little bit, and he looks at you. And he says, and
and as Black Claw put it, I would like to stop being the prey.
he gets a stern look on his face, but it's one of intensity, not one of cruelty. And he looks to you, he says, you've called upon the words of Black Claw. He says to you, that is a brave move. He says to you, and he replied and answered to you. Did he spirit walk with you?
He did. He got me through a terrifying ordeal with a creature that can move through shadow.
As you do that, Danny, I would like for you to do a wisdom saving throw.
God. Whopping 5 with bonuses.
Oh, really? That bad?
Yeah.
Okay. As you're sitting there and you're listening to this conversation, you're thinking about the next thing you want to face. That you've actually feel a little bit better about yourself now that you've actually faced a behemoth under no conditions and became victorious. And you look around this place. And all of a sudden, you didn't notice it at first, but your feet feel a little numb. It's strange, and you wouldn't quite explain it. You haven't been standing that long for too long. And as you look down to move your feet a little bit, you see a couple snowflakes and a gust of snow blow past your face. Okay? You smell fresh air as if you were back home. And as you look out and you look over to Oma and you look over to Tomar having a conversation, to you it appears that they have a light sheen of snow that has been covering their shoulders and hair. Okay? As looking further, you start to look across this place. And in the crowd, you notice people, no one particularly that you recognize, but people that are dressed as your people do every once in a while. First 2, then 3, then 4 or 5, scattered throughout, sitting there in their hunting clothes with their spears to their sides, black, unkempt hair pulled back and different paint and runes and markings on their faces. They might be familiar, they might not be. And as you look across and notice these figures, you recognize the feeling in your feet. It's cold. There's a chill that seems to be creeping up from your feet. And you see something that starts to happen. As you are looking out onto this place, the surface of this arena begins to change ever so slightly, Danny. I want you to keep your eyes focused on this, okay?
Ooh.
It starts to look like broken ice. It fades off along the walls. You see different shapes swirling underneath of it. Your heart beats faster. And you realize that you may also have a trial here as well. And your concern for her and Oma takes you back to that moment, Danny. With a 5, you failed pretty miserably. And you're being taken back to that memory, and it is creating itself in this place for you. What do you do?
He starts to make sound on the ice, trying to draw it to him.
Drawing it. You're talking about something that maybe you haven't seen yet, but
He's probably
it's
thinking
almost
about
like you're chasing a dream. It's almost like you know what you're thinking, but in the back of your head, you're still thinking, if I think about it, it'll happen. But then you feel yourself stomping your foot down just by nature. Panicked. You look over at Oma, you look over at him. Tomar looks across from you.
He says, quiet on the ice, they'll bust through. In a panic, talking about,
Wow.
creatures.
Oma, you look into Danny's eyes. You do not see what he's seeing right now, but you know you could very easily if you chose to in this place. You can see what other folks are going through. Tomar, your brother, looks to you and says, his trial has already started. Guide him. Find courage in that. I will be watching. What do you do, Oma?
I'd say have strength. Remember, it's not as real as it might seem.
Okay, roll a persuasion check with disadvantage.
Okay.
That's charisma.
Yep. That's still 21.
Wow. Okay, Danny. Roll a let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20. I'd like for you to roll a wisdom saving throw again, Danny.
14.
Okay. Her words come through to you, and you start to realize that this is what this place does. But you also are enticed by the reality of it. You think in the back of your head briefly, Danny, this could be a way to help you both. If you can just maintain your control on this. That's what the soul stone's for. It's for soul searching. Riding just on the crest of that wave. You have to make a decision here and now before this gets out of hand. Is this what you want to do? Is this what you want to put yourself through to see if you can find some kind of inner strength, not just in yourself, but in Oma as well? Do you think you can manage this, Dan? It's up to you. What do you want to do?
He takes a deep breath. It's time to put those boyish things in my past. He steps out into a wide stance.
Okay. Where are you moving to? If you are moving, do you want to move anywhere on here particularly right now?
He's going to move out onto the ice and feel it, get his footing, try to remember what it was like walking on the ice when he was a kid. Let it come back to him before he has to move quick.
As you do, Dayhon moves out into the center. I want you to roll me a dexterity saving throw, please, Danny.
Oh, that's not too bad. 17 total.
Okay, Dace, I'd like for you to roll a 1d20 and a 1d4 and tell me what the DC is.
Sure thing.
24. You follow that?
27, motherfucker!
All right, let's see here. All right, and 24.
Okay. The ice cracks underneath of your feet. but not enough to break completely through it, but there is ice there. You feel as if you take another step, a very bad start will happen. As the cracks form underneath of your feet and they echo across here, it almost sounds like people skipping stones out on a lake. That ping, ping, ching kind of sound. Yes, that is the best I can do that sound, by the way. Okay, so as that's the sound that you make, all of a sudden you hear those drums in the back of your head. Boom, 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 boom. Okay.
All right. Head cuddles. Off you go.
So at that point, you see dark, shadowy figures, 2 of them, underneath the ice, beginning to encircle the outside. Oma, have you chosen to see what Danny can see at this point?
Yes, I
Okay.
feel like you probably need some help at this point.
I want you to roll me a charisma saving throw.
Okay.
This will tell me if you realize it to be what it is or it starts to overtake you and make it seem too real.
Oh. There you go. I got a 7.
Whew. Ron, roll me a 1d20 and a 1d4 and tell me what the DC is of this.
6.
Right?
Ron gets to roll my DC next.
Right on.
Sorry.
Oh, shit. What'd you get?
19.
Oh.
Oma, you think you have ice skates on your feet. No, I'm joking. This is very, you are immersed in this. You are remembering the story that he told you. You are feeling the pain of what Danny said that he went through on this day, and you are looking around and you almost feel like you've been here before. You are a part of this now. With that, I have to be going for 30 seconds. The 2 of you have a conversation about what you want to do here, Danny. As you see these things swirling, you might want to clue her in because Brown's got to pee. Can't hold it anymore. I'll be right back.
Actually, I do too. I'm going to be right back as well.
Oh, see, it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
So you're aware they're these giant, like walrus type, like rhino cross things with horns.
Yeah. I was waiting to see what would pop up.
And with record-breaking speed and a quick wash of the hands, Brian is back, everybody.
No.
Okay, so with that, what have you guys decided? What are you wanting to do here, Danny, as these shadowy images seem to form up around you as the ice is cracking underneath your feet?
He starts to move off the cracked ice.
Okay.
Move backwards, and
as you pick up 1 foot, the cracking seems to move a little bit more, and it's starting to spider web. I need you to roll me a dexterity saving throw at disadvantage now because you've already cracked it through with your failure of the first one.
all right. Dex would be a 10 on this one.
As you do, your left foot goes through the floor of this place. As now this is in the full mode of looking just like an icy lake. As it goes through, one of these shadows trace in towards you, Danny. You're down on your right knee. Your left foot is down in. You're trying to hold yourself up above the surface. Your hands press against the lightly snow drifted ice as you see this shadowy figure come charging in towards you. Yes.
Can I? Would I have time to rush towards him and cast Death Ward?
Roll me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
What's the range on Death Ward?
Touch.
Ooh, you better roll for me. Yeah. Matter of fact, let's just do it this way.
Yeah.
I'll give you an advantage on your initiative
Okay.
once this happens. Okay, so you may have a chance to go first when this goes down, but he's rolled poorly. First broke the ice, now his foot has went through much more, and he's going under as something comes into view, Danny. Something very familiar. As an image appears. And you are looking face to face with the creature that you remember taking the life of your sister. This is the Beotus. It's a large, horned, dangerous seal-like creature that lives underneath the surface of the ice in your homeland that breaks up through and attacks things. An alpha predator. Okay? And it pops up and appears within 5 foot of you. Okay? Over on the other side, over here, another one erupts from in the distance. But much further away than the first one. Okay? Time to roll initiative. What do you think of the artwork on those, Danny? Are those cool?
Oh yeah, they are.
That's a creature out of the Monster Hunter video games, and I put some extra effects into it and put an aura beneath it. But that is the creature. Okay, you can see the teeth and the maw of it. So I hope that lives up to the expectations of what these things would actually look like when you actually laid eyes on them, Danny.
27 for initiative.
27, you vicious bastard. Just a minute here. Let me write down some things. Okay. All right, Oma, your initiative, you'll roll 1d20, then you'll add the thing down there that says initiative modifier. It should be next to where your speed is at on your character sheet.
Yep. Found it.
You'll have advantage, so you'll get to roll the d20 twice and pick your highest one.
Ooh, nice. I got a 26.
Hell yes, you did. Okay. Okay.
Holy mother, what is that?
Okay, so so these are the creatures that attacked Danny and his sister a long time ago. These are called the Beotus, and they are like monster-like seal creatures that have large rhino horns on top of their head. And what they used to do in his homeland is they would stalk up underneath the ice and listen for cracks and prey. They bust up with those massive horns and suck you back down, and they eat your ass. And there's something that warrior men of his tribe prized and will go out and hunt for. And that is all I will let you know at this point. Danny may tell you more of the story some other time. But this is the actual creatures. 2 have broken up through the ice. And Danny failed another dexterity check, and now his left leg and part of his left arm is in through the ice submerged, which drew these things to him in this arena. Okay? So, Danny, you rolled the best initiative roll. You will get to go first. Let me get some battle music going on here if I can. I may have to stop share for a minute to do it. No, actually, I can do that. Hold on. Yeah, you put on some battle music real quick. Have a little bit of fun. A little YouTube magic. Oh, yeah, let's do a little of that. All right, buddy. What you got, Mr. McGuffey?
All right. Well, right off the bat, he's going to use his bonus action, and he is going to go into, I think, for this one, them being ice-based, and stomping on the ice with all that extra weight would not be great. So he's going to take on his Phoenix primal aspect.
Okay, so describe to everybody what they see briefly, and then tell me what you're doing for the rest of your turn.
As he gets lighter on his feet, taking a smaller stance, probably catching his balance because he's already 1 foot into the water, starts to come up on that one leg, drawing the other one up almost like a crane standing on one leg, and then hooks his hands out like phoenix talons. And as he does, you'd see flames kind of come through the air and little flecks of feather-like flame kind of roll around.
Yeah, baby. I like how the owl in Alex's thing looks really concerned for your life right now. Like the owl's like, oh shit, it's gonna be bad, man. I love that.
That owl looks like it just witnessed the death of its entire
I know, right?
family.
No, they say our pets can see dead people. That's all I'm saying.
I'm pretty sure there's a type of owl that just constantly looks like that.
All right, Danny, go ahead. That's your bonus action. You have invoked the Phoenix stance, which is your what's it called? Your primal, or what do you call it?
Primal aspect.
Primal aspects. You are in the Phoenix. You are the Phoenix, Danny. All right, what are you doing now? It's your turn. Let's roll.
All right, he is going to first, he's going to attempt to grapple it.
You're going to grab this thing. You want to dance with it, do you? Well, by all means, buddy, grab on. Hey, what they say in Monty Python? You could grip it by the husk.
Yeah, he's going to, actually, he will, the way he'll get there is up to his feet there. He's going to leap with an uppercut.
Okay. That uses how much movement?
Be about 5 foot to go up for that upper. Or when
Okay, remember, advanced martial artists, you use movement when you're doing leaping uppercuts. So make sure to keep track of it. Okay.
Any issues because his feet are in the ice?
Yeah. Thank you, Ron. Way to put the screws
Sorry,
to Mr.
Danny.
McGuffey. So you're stuck in the ice, buddy. If you're using an uppercut move, it's going to take twice the amount of movement to do it in your current predicament.
All right, then we'll go with that.
Okay, how much is it going to take?
20 feet.
20 foot to do a leaping uppercut. Okay.
Oh, 19, which is beautiful because he also has critical threat.
Okay, so it's a total of 19?
No, that's natural 19.
Oh, okay. Okay, shit. Yeah. So what's your total attack roll after modifiers? This is going to be a monster hit.
30.
Okay, that breaches the creature. So would you like to say exactly where around the creature you're hitting here? This, when he does a breaching hit, Dace, that means it beat both, and he is actually hitting this thing with no damage reduction. He is hitting a sensitive spot. I'll say up underneath the muzzle, where the horn connects to the top lip of this creature around there, you're hitting up underneath that horn, and that little sensitive bridge right here between the nose and its top lip. As you jump up with a flaming uppercut, go ahead and roll damage for that, and it's a critical hit because it's a 19 with your feet.
Right, and I'm going to go ahead and use Weapon Specialist to add that 1d4 on that.
Okay,
damage
Weapon
as well.
Specialist feat, he can add 1d4 to one attack or damage one time per turn.
All right,
Get
so
it,
that
Danny.
will be
I really should go through that feat list.
Hell yeah, you have it. Killian has weapon specialization with his Valkadas.
Ah, sweet.
Yep. You can thank your DM for that shit. Like
21 points of damage out of that strike.
21 points of damage out of your first attack. Nicely done, sir. As you hit this thing, you see a spout of blood spit out from between its two large teeth, as you are not feeling any fear from this thing. You are here to win this battle. You come up with a great uppercut. You sock it in that. It raises the head up like this, exposing underneath the chin. It lets out a gurgled yell as there's still water, ocean water, gushing out of its mouth as it has erupted up out of the water, still trying to shed that. Second attack.
With a called shot, with that throat being exposed, he is going to attempt to get a chokehold.
So you're grabbing it with your other hand?
Yep, he's wrapping her. He's as this one hits, he's wrapping around this way. He's going to try to get a hold of it and actually get a grappling lock.
Okay, is this before your feet hit the ground?
Yes.
Hey, roll me a dexterity saving throw just to see how well you're pulling this off.
17 plus 2. 19.
Okay, this is going to be tough, but go ahead and roll to see if you're able to get around its neck and hold on to it before you go back down to the ice, possibly going through with added weight.
All right, for grappling, that would be, it's plus 15, 12 plus 27.
27 hits and breaches, so you have got a grapple around the thick fur underneath of its neck as you get a nice grip hold onto it, and as it stops, you realize that it is out there with its two front fins on the ice. Its tail is still underwater, but this thing is still 6-7 foot up out of the water. So as you're hanging by the hair of the goatee of this creature, your feet are still about 1.5 feet, 2 foot off the surface of the ice. You were hanging from this creature now. That is your second attack. How many do you have this round?
He has, I got to do the math on this now.
What's it say? This is slash, what slash? What's it say?
I got 7 every 3, so I think it's
4 and 3, 4 and 3. 7 every 3. No, you
Right.
have 3, 2, and 2. 3,
Right.
2, and 2. So this will be your 3 attack round.
all right. So he's got him locked in. He's going to attempt a joint lock on his neck.
Okay, go ahead and try it, and I'll let you know what happens. Did you roll a natural 20?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Dace, just in case you don't know, and we've mentioned this in other things, when Danny rolls a natural 20, he has to fight the natural instinct to put it on camera for everybody to see. So you'll see Danny act like he's got hot food in his mouth, and he'll grab the camera and try to show us. So, natural 20. Okay, so here's the dilemma I have. You could barely bear hug this thing's neck. Okay, and you're trying a locking move on its neck, but you also rolled a 20. So I'm going to let you do some kind of damage in some way, but I'm going to use your common sense. When you have a hold of the beard of this thing and you're trying to put a neck lock on this, you realize that is impossible on this particular creature. You don't know the anatomy of it that well, and if you were to get all the way around its neck, you might be able to try to choke it by squeezing it, but that would be the only thing. You couldn't do a... Is that what you're trying to do? Is you trying to choke it out, or are you trying to wrap your arms around it and choke it?
Yeah, that's kind of what he was going for, but I realized that I don't have choke yet. All I've got is joint, because that comes in advanced grappling.
That's what I thought. So you don't have the ability to do that yet. So you might be able to, if you want to take that 20, I'll let you do another attack with it or something like that. But you wouldn't be able to, like, take this thing and snap its neck or nothing.
Okay. Then as it's coming back, he'll use its momentum as it's rearing back, and he'll go with it, taking his feet up in the air, and then slam his feet forward and try to throw it down to the ground where he can get on it.
I'll do a drop kick to it as you're release. Okay, and are you going to keep a hold of it as you do the drop kick?
Yeah, he's trying to slam it, make it go into the ground with him.
Nicely done. Since you have it grappled, I will give this attack to you with advantage because you have a hold of the creature. Go ahead and roll your attack. You already did. You got a 20.
I dropped my dice.
So, nice. Go ahead and roll me damage for an attack. And what you want to do is, on this, since you're lunging, you want to make this attack as if you did a jump kick on your martial arts chart. So it'll get an addition to it.
All right. That would be...
This is going to be damage.
8 plus 13.
Okay, now your dice rolls are doubled because you rolled a 20.
Right.
And what's your total?
13 points of damage.
13?
Yep.
Okay. So with 13 points of damage, he kicks into the gut of this thing. I want you two to roll opposing strength rolls to see if you're able to topple this thing with the kick you've laid onto it, Danny.
Negative. I got a natural 2.
I got a natural 1. So
What are the odds?
So touche, buddy. You're able to kick this thing over, And as you do, its tail, Ron's about to put the screws to you. Go ahead.
I would just like to hear some better description of a natural 2 versus a natural 1. This had to be the ugliest drop kick in history.
We're getting ready to go there. There's going to be slobber. There's going to be stuff happening. So as you do that and you drop kick this sucker, as you got a hold of its thing at the same time, you swing back and kick both your feet into the gut of it. When you do, you kick it, but it's so slippery and greased down that when you kick it, your feet hit it, slide off to the side, and your hip slams into it as you're still hanging on for dear life off the beard of this thing. As you hit the gut of this creature, you hear a rumble because of that too, and it rolled that thing, and it rolled a natural 1. It vomits a couple fish. As you've kicked it in the stomach so severely, Danny, you take 3 nasty salmon-like things that are half dissolved, and it spits them out on top of your head as you're hanging on to its goatee just below its maw. It falls over and lands. I need you to roll a dexterity saving throw to see where you land. Does that make
16.
you happy, Ron? Okay. He's like, we have fish vomit. Yes.
16.
16. You land, and you are going to take, from the wallop of this thing laying down in your awkward positioning, you are going to take 6 points of non-lethal damage. And you are not prone, because you got high enough from that, but you took the damage landing. You are on your feet beside it. And Dace, I want you to roll me a 1d20 and a 1d4 for the ice to see what happens.
Got it. Uh, 19.
Okay. The ice starts to crack severely, but the ice does not break through here, Danny. As you're looking down at your leg and stuff, you're seeing spider webs all around, and you're looking at this creature, and you're like, oh, shit. We're getting wet again. Okay. That's 3 attacks. You've used your bonus action to invoke the Phoenix. Do you have any movement at all left at all? You used 20 foot to do the uppercut. You've got some movement left or in a reaction. What are you doing?
He stands his ground.
Okay. With that, that is the end of your turn. Oma, you
Yes.
are up. You are down here seeing this, witnessing this. Are you wanting to rush towards him and put death ward on him? Was that your idea?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, it is touch. I'm going to have you roll a dexterity saving throw as you start to make your way to him. About right here, you notice that the ice is cracking severely in that area. Dace, I'm going to have you roll a DC for how fucked up the ice is.
Right.
Alec has to beat your DC to be able to not break through the ice here.
Okay.
What'd you get, Dace? 2? I like. Oh, 20? 2-0?
No. Just 2.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a 2-0. I was like, fuck.
No. That's just 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Alex,
rolled that ones on both the dice.
you have a very easy roll here. What'd you get?
I got a 10.
Hell, you quad. What's 5? I know 4 is quadruple. What's 5? Quintuple.
That's quintuple.
Quintuple. You quintupled the DC. Congratulations. You are skating like Nancy Kerrigan across this ice, headed towards Dace to touch him. And as you do, is there any saving throw or anything? And would you please describe what the spell looks like as you do it?
I gotta open it up.
Ron, if you would, flip to your book and pull up protection from, what is this called? Protection from good and evil, or is this a death ward? What is this?
Death ward.
And just give us a description. Ron can give us the details.
Sure. You touch a creature and grant it a measure of protection from death. The first time the target would drop to 0 hit points as a result of taking damage. Target instead drops to 1 hit point and the spell ends.
Okay, and you have to keep concentration on that?
No. It's just touch, and it lasts for 8 hours.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's the way to do it right there. That's getting her done. Okay, Danny. So she comes up and blesses you. Is that a full round action or a bonus action, Alex?
It's a full round action.
Okay, so you have your bonus action left. If you have any spells or any abilities that let you do anything with a bonus action, you may. You also have, I think, about 25 foot of movement left if you'd like to use it. What would you like to do next?
I think that'll be the end of my turn.
Okay, Oma stands there beside you, Danny, and she whispers to you, "You do not do this alone." And she reaches out and touches you with a knowing look. You can see the reflection of the ice and stuff in her eyes, and she sees what you see. She blesses you in some way. You feel empowered. You feel invulnerable to a certain degree, as if somebody's on your side. After that, it is I wish I could pronounce it. It's spelled Beotodus. This is a creature from Monster Hunter, the video game. So Beotodus. I don't know how you'd call it. We'll just call them Beos.
Actually, if I can, I'm gonna have a look at the word again. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to tell you how to pronounce it.
Okay.
So how do you spell it again?
Beotodus. Okay. Ron?
All right. Beotodus.
Beotodus. I like that. It's like Leonidas,
Beotodus.
only it's Beotodus.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it. Okay,
Yeah, pretty
cool.
much. Yeah, just Leonidas if he was a Beotodus.
I like it, dude. We are copyright infringing the fuck out of this episode. It's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
No, dude, that's
No,
what we're all about.
sponsored.
We're all about the copyright infringement. Okay, so Ron, imagine if you will, you're a large walrus rhino horned piece of shit, and you have just got uppercut severely and hit in the gut so hard that you puked fish on a person from your tribal homeland, but you're a vicious creature. You're right beside Danny as he lays down beside you. You are prone laying on the ice, and you're hungry, buddy. What would you like to do? Just give me a general idea, and we will act it out.
Well, I guess my first question is, what kind of intelligence does this creature have? Is he driven by instinct or driven by...
He is
Or reason.
instinct driven, as he has a very low intelligence.
Okay.
But his wisdom of learning and knowing about things in his terrain is pretty high. So
All right.
he's an instinct driven thing. He is the equivalent of a smart dog.
Then I would be going back after Dayhon.
Get him! All right. If you would, go ahead and you want to go full tilt, or do you just want to go, you want to try to drag him under the water? Do you want to bite him and throw his ass? Get creative. What are you thinking? You want to spear him with your horn, or you want to bite him?
I think I would try to gore him with the horn.
Nicely done, sir. Roll me a 1d20.
18. Sorry.
Woo! 25 total, Danny.
Hits, does not breach.
Okay, so as this thing pokes into him, it's just like the Hobbit, man. Copyright infringement. It pokes into him, but it isn't able to break through your behemoth's mantle armor. Go ahead and Ron, roll me some damage. And you are going to be rolling 2d6 plus 5.
12 total.
12 points of damage. Is that enough to breach your behemoth's mantle?
It is not.
Okay, so you're going to take non-lethal damage from this, and you will take 5 non-lethal, and your armor will take 5. Okay? That's your first attack. You have one more with this creature. Ron, would you like to try to toss him now that you've gored him, or do you want to attack the second
Just
time?
a second.
Oh.
That was enough non-lethal to cause a lethal, so as a reaction, I'm going to do the Aslani Blood Oath.
Nice, buddy. Explain what that is to people, because I wrote it and it's cool as shit, and I want to hear you say it.
So the warriors that they are, and they will go into these fights. So when something draws his blood, it basically allows him to come to a contest of wills with it, so to say. And if it fails on a save, which would be 10 plus proficiency plus charisma. So if it fails on a 17 DC, then it is compelled to duel me.
And it won't touch Oma. That's very cool, man. That's a heroic move. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll. And what kind, is that a wisdom or charisma, or what is he saving there?
Charisma.
I failed. I got an 8. So now, because you've done that, you did this, what is it called again?
Aslani Blood Oath.
So as he does this, guys, he does the whole Samoan warrior kind of thing. He sticks his tongue out and goes bug-eyed and goes, blah, blah, blah. And he does his thumb against his throat and does these kind of symbols that makes this thing only attack him. It's compelled to duel him and him alone. Okay? And there are limitations to this, whereas once it's bloodied, I think it breaks that, or certain things. It's not like your typical spell where if you hit it once, this is broken. This thing wants to battle him now. Okay? That was your reaction, right, Danny?
Yep.
Okay, Ron, what's the next thing you want to do to him, buddy? Whip his ass.
Get
Get him, Ron.
I think I would, I would try to, he's currently gored on my horn, or did I just like graze him? I just grazed him because I didn't breach.
Well, you hit him, but his behemoth armor stopped you from getting through to him. So he is up on your horn, but he's not pierced by it. So if you were to throw him or do something like that, he is still in a place where you could heave him. Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely, I think, heave him and then try to like regain my ground to attack. Okay.
So after you heave him up, go ahead and roll me a strength saving throw. Roll me a 1d20 plus a lot, because it is a big creature, and I'll tell you what it is. Roll me a 1d20. I just want to see how well you perform this.
Is he making an attack roll for it too?
No, you're on him. This is just him making a strength move. What'd you get, Ron?
A 10.
Okay, so that ends up being a 15. So I'm going to say it is able to toss you 15 feet. Okay, so as it throws you up, okay, then Ron, you're prone, so it's going to take half of your movement to actually get up where your tail's out of the water and you are on the surface, or you can go under to come up underneath again, but you are compelled to duel him even now. So you are bloodlusting for this guy. What do you want to do?
I would use half of my movement to come up out of the water to approach him.
Okay.
What is my total movement?
I'm going to say you have 35. So I'll say you used 15 of it there to get up.
All right.
Which direction did he throw me? Straight up?
I'm going to say straight up. Okay.
All right. So I don't know. Does he have any bonus actions or anything left over?
You have a bonus action that you can take, but it's something if you have someone bit or stuck upon you, you can do a thing where you just shake the ever-loving piss out of them and it puts them in a dazed condition, but you're not in a place to do that right now. So you're pretty much, unless you move somewhere else, your round is done. You would pretty much just be wanting him to come down. You'd be like, ah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm waiting to pounce as he comes down.
Okay. All right. With that, it is the other one's turn. Okay. And as that happens, it is going to use 15 feet of its movement. It is going to go back down under the water. And then all of a sudden it's going to use the rest of its movement as a charge action to come flying up out of the water like the whales at SeaWorld, and is jumping and bounding to land on top of the two of you, Danny, and breaking through the ice and submerging you guys in water. Okay? I'm going to roll to see how well, if it gets close to you when it comes up through the water to land and do a belly smack on top of you guys, okay? Plus, the ice is very brittle where you guys are at already. Okay. That is definitely enough to do it. That is a 23, okay? So as it happens, this other piece of shit over here, is that number 1 or number 2? Let me see. That's this one. He goes underwater, comes up, and slams down on top of where you guys are at, and the ice breaks in that area, okay?
Am I still in the air when he hits that, or?
I'm going to say at that point, we're just going to do it movie style. You're still in the air, but Oma automatically falls down into the icy water. I need you, Oma, to roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. Seven.
Oh, you are dazed. You are in the water, and although you are allowed to, you are able to keep your float because of your heritage. You are able to swim, and I know you have in the past, but the icy water shocks your system. Even though you fought against it and know that this isn't real, you rolled very low in your saving throw, and you were dazed in the water at that point. Your movement is halved, and any attack rolls or things that you make are at disadvantage until you get out of this water. I will say it will take you 20 foot of movement to at least go 10 foot to get to the edge where it's not broken as this creature came down. Now, the larger issue is this. The damage you would have taken as this thing jumps down on top of you. Okay? Now that 26 that I rolled, what does that do to your armor class? Does that hit you or breach you? Well, if it hits you, it hits you. Breaching really wouldn't matter with a sumo drop like this.
Armor class breach is 29.
Okay, and the one that's above that, the armor class primary, the one that's just in the shield, what's that number?
21.
Okay, so it did. So it got you. You are going to take, jumped up in distance, 8 points of bludgeoning damage as this creature lands down on top of you and smacks, and you see a black flash for just a moment as you wake up in the water, and this thing is down below you somewhere. That is going to be the creature's turn. Up next is going to be Danny. Danny, you are falling. You are about 10 or so feet above this creature that has tossed you up into the air. Just to be able to have an action before hitting the ground, I'm going to need you to do a dexterity saving throw with a pretty decently high DC.
All right, so 17 plus 2, 19.
Not quite. 20 was the number that you needed. So as you fall back down, I'm going to roll 1d4. Okay? This 1d4 determines how well this works. Okay? To be fair, the Leonidas, say it again, Dace, what is it?
It just got to look at the name again because it's Beatotus.
The Beatotus didn't have an action left, so it couldn't have exactly prepared itself for you. So I'm not going to say it's a weaponized place you're going to land, but I want to know if you're going to land upon its horn. One is upon its horn.
Would it get I know I shouldn't be helping, but does it get an attack of opportunity because I am entering its area?
No, not because of this, because you're weaponized at the beginning of your turn as you're falling. Okay, and in my opinion, no. One, you land on the
anyway.
Right. 1, you land on the horn. 2, you land in the toothy maw. 3, you land on the ice. And 4, you land plunging into the water. Dace, roll me a 1d4.
Sure thing. 1d4. 3.
Okay, you land up on the ice. So you land crashing down onto the ice beside it, and you would fall prone from doing it because of your failure on your deck save. Okay, I want you to take 1d6, that plus 1d6 and 1d4 blunt damage from the distance that you fell. That is going to be, that's not very much at all. I rolled 2 ones. 2 points of blunt damage. Okay? That goes straight to you. Your armor doesn't absorb that. It's just bam. You're like a piece of dead fish on the ice. You land. You have your 2 attacks this turn. You have your bonus action, and you have to use half your movement to get up, Danny. You are within 10 foot of this creature, and I will say that, Bast, you land. If I could move you even, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? This operation is not a... Oh, yeah, because I went to Bast. I didn't went to... I had different people in here in case more people came in. Let's go down to Dayhon. Maybe he'd like to move, huh? What do you think of that shit? Okay, I'm going to say you land about right here, sir. Okay? Now, the other one is going to get an attack of opportunity. No, he's under the water. Never mind. You land. Now that you've landed on the ice, you're 10 foot away. He can't quite reach you. What are you doing?
Well, then, I think I will use my bonus action to flame on the old fist, and I will strike this thing with a spinning back fist.
Okay, what's your total movement?
35 feet.
Okay, so you use 15 to get up. It's 10 to get to him. That's 25. And then you got 10 foot of movement left. Is that enough to do your spinning back fist?
Yes, it is.
Okay, does that take all your movement to do that?
Sure does.
I figured as much. I love the 3D of these, as it actually looks like he's back behind the creature. That's pretty cool. I'm just saying, I'll pat myself on the back all day if you let me. All right, so
That's
Danny,
well
go ahead, buddy.
I'm gonna stack some feats then, and what I'm going to do is using weapon specialist. I'm going to use that for. Let me see here. It's going to be that and Cold Shot Novus with all of them together. So basically, he's only going to have 1 attack.
Oh, you're doing your honed Cold Shot on your turn. I know what you're doing. Okay. What are you trying to do before you roll? I need to hear it.
Just a spinning back fist to its head area.
Okay, which is a -4 to hit.
So that would be a 18 plus 11 is 29.
Okay, -4 is 25, and that exactly breaches the creature. That's the 25 is the magic number, and you just fucking hit it. Plus, you had weapon specialization. You could have added 2. Do you want to add that to damage now?
Actually, I want to take the weapon specialization and add it to critical hit chance because I had an 18, which give me a damage and a half, but I can top it up.
And so this is automatically going to get you.
All right, so yeah, that puts me at a 21 for critical
hit. That's awesome. Good job, buddy. Critical weapon mastery is a motherfucker, dude.
All right, so let's stack some damage now.
Let's stack damage, Danny. Let's make a club sandwich out of damage.
All right, so we got
club sandwich out of damage. I like that.
We got 1d8 for the gauntlet.
I'm selling the shirts after the show.
And 2d6 fire from the Phoenix Strike. 5.
If you make that shirt, I'll totally buy one.
Yeah, hey, you're getting it for free, my friend. You're getting it for free.
And then 1d6 because of the blood oath.
Just when the NASA satellites are done computing up all your numbers, just tell me what the hell you do here, bud. Now come on. Just my God.
How many numbers are you writing down?
Lights are shutting down, the power plants are they're shutting down.
Are you calculating the trip to Mars?
39 points of damage.
39 points of critical damage to the head of the thing. I'm going to roll versus. Is there an effect from that? What's your critical hit effect? Damn, sir, with your big numbers and your damn mystic fighting abilities, you Phoenix piece of shit.
It is. Let me roll 1d6.
You and Alex got a kick out of that. That was good.
All right, so nerve damage 2 can render the area paralyzed.
So you're pretty
So-
much going to knock him out here if this works right. What's my DC?
What the DC is on that?
I have to look at called shots under our optional feats thing, Days, because he has a level 1 called shots he can do. It's pretty neat shit here.
Might go have a little sneak peek at that.
14.
14, that's not too bad. And it's Constitution, right?
Yeah. Do we roll? Because are we still using 10 plus that, or are we rolling for that?
I
too?
rolled it. He failed. I rolled a natural 7, plus his Constitution bonus doesn't beat that. When you hit him with this spinning back fist that has that fire on it with that amount of damage on that, Danny, it pretty much stuns him. Okay? Which is going to last until the beginning of your next turn. And the creature, Ron, you two fall. It's like Godzilla going down sideways in the move. Just and he lands upon the ice. Alex, roll me a saving throw for the ice as this big fucker falls over.
Oh no.
So many things going on here. I love it.
Okay. I got a 16.
A 16?
Yep.
Okay, Dace, roll me a DC for the ice. She rolled a 16. If you roll higher than her, ice is broken. 1d20,
Rolled a 3.
1d4. Okay, so you couldn't beat it. You couldn't. Okay. He
Yeah,
lands
no,
upon
even with the
ice.
4, not going to beat it.
Okay, so he lands, and somehow there's a thicker vein of ice here. He does not break through. Danny, you have successfully knocked the creature out, and it is bloodied and looking pretty rough as it lands, and its tongue kind of hangs out between its large teeth sideways. What else do you have to do on your turn? Yeah, that's it. You got it, Dace. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to use that yet. He's just standing ready because he's
Okay.
out of movement anyway.
With that, we're going to do Oma's turn, and then we're going to go to the other one briefly to do a couple things, and we'll end tonight. Okay? So with that, you are holding your ground. Please make note, guys, that the creature is knocked out. I'm going to put down here stunned. Okay, just trying to remember where we're at. And the cool thing is we got a video, so we'll just find out. Oma, you are underwater, my dear, and searching for the surface. I need you to do a perception check for me, please, just to see where your head's at.
$14.
Okay, that's not bad. You are knocked stunned and you feel like the breath is out of you. Your chest and everything is so tight. The shock of this immense cold has held you rigid. You feel weightless for a moment as you're looking up and you see light up above you, but then this dark figure rushes past. The sense that you are in the water in serious danger with a creature close to you comes over your mind, panicked. You see the light, you see the direction you need to go, but you're also stunned at the same time. Now is the beginning of your turn. You were stunned by the last time. You're still trying to decide how I want to do this because you were stunned off turn by this creature. So you wouldn't get a turn this time. You would actually be stunned throughout, which is bad because you are in the water.
Right.
Let's see how we want to handle this. Okay. You rolled that check just now, perception. You know where the light is. As you feel yourself staying stationary, you're not sinking anymore, but you're not raising up at the same time. I need you. You are going to take, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to do it this way. Roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
It's not good, people. Stunned versus water versus sinking equals death. Yeah.
9.
9. 25% of your hit points are gone. So whatever a quarter of your hit points are, they are gone as you breathe in water and it fills your lungs, and the coldness begins to overtake you as you are starting to drown. So whatever 25% of your hit points are, they are history. Okay? All right. Up on that note, when we start back with them, I'm going to put a note down here. The Bayo's turn. All right. So, dire situation. I strongly suggest Danny, you and Alex both think about what you're going to do to get out of this situation, because the owl right now looks very concerned for Oma. Okay? Having
Well,
said that.
unfortunately, that blood oath works kind of two ways. He's pretty synced into combat with that
I
thing.
know it. I know it. So now we're going to switch over. Check this out, guys. What to do in Wayne's World? Do, and bam, we're here. God, I love D&D. Okay, so you guys are in this flash scene of Ron. By the way, folks watching and you guys, I know I haven't addressed this and I don't think any of our videos. I know as DM, I'm supposed to be making all these rolls, but if Ron and Dace are going to be polite enough to sit there and patiently wait for their scene to come up next, I want to include them in on as many rolls as I can so everyone's involved in the action. I like the way it works out. Everyone here in the group, except for Dace, I haven't really asked him yet, seems to like this style of playing, because even if they're not into it, Ron's being able to kick the shit out of people with a walrus rhino, and Alex is throwing all kinds of shit there. So it makes it fun for everybody, even if you're not a part of the main story. Okay? Moving on.
So Danny's getting his ass kicked basically by a narwhal right now.
Pretty much.
I have to say, I am enjoying holding the fate of if you go in the water in my hands,
Yeah, that's
by
the
being
shit,
the
too.
ice.
And what's
It's great.
great is you can't be mad at the DM because I'm not the one fucked you up, Danny. You're look, he's right beside you, that guy. That's the guy that screwed you over, buddy. Don't blame this guy.
My green dice, the one that want you dead.
Mm-hmm. And I love the 2 and the 1. But anyway, I want to get through a little bit of this before we end tonight. I know it's getting close to that time, but this is a big one and it's important. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, Kylian, as you have headed down in here, the smell of that dark smell, that hot wind that goes by you is very intense down here. You haven't been down here. The king has warned you when Omadon was telling you that people were going to come down here and you were to steer them clear of said things that we discussed before. He definitely made mention to stay clear of this until there were other people there to protect you. This is the first time you've been down this way. Okay? And as you stand there and you look out, you do know that there is a symbol on the wall that you can put the medallion into that will ignite ancient flames and torches within this place that will illuminate it to a degree. And that symbol is on the wall to your left, immediately where you are at right now. By the way, this is the first time you've ever seen your character icon.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's you, by the way.
Me.
Yes. Yes. So what would you like to do? You want to have a conversation? Do you want to go ahead and light it up? What do you want to do here, buddy?
Kylian is, he looks at his companions, and he has, like, kind of that smile on his face that is just real enough to seem genuine, but it is really unsettling. Like, it's not comforting at all as he plops and he doesn't break eye contact with any of them as he plops the medallion into the light and it comes to life as fires erupt and light up the area.
Okay. So, just a moment here. I've got to find where the hell I put the actual light at. So don't look, because this is my own little secrets here. Let's go ahead and take this down.
I've got my camera thing covering that part of it anyway.
Right on.
So I can't see it even if I wanted to.
Right on. Just a moment here. And here we go. Okay, I'm going to span out a little bit, give you guys a bigger view of a couple different things and some light pillars begin to emanate. As you can see, there are some purple lights that glow here beside you guys, illuminating the hallway. And Kylian, as you look down the long expanse of this hallway, you're staring straight at a tomb at the far end of it with several different doors reaching off to both sides. Okay, in the distance. You hear chains again, and the same thing happens. In this particular spot, at the far end of the hallway, as soon as these orbs light up, you see the back of whatever this thing is creep past and walk over top of this coffin as if it's walking through it at knee high. It goes into the air, and all of a sudden you hear a shift in stone from this tomb here at the end of the hallway because the lights have done something. What are you doing?
Kylian's gonna enter the room, but he's gonna enter it more carefully than he usually does. So he's essentially trying to be he's trying to go unnoticed, even by the dead.
Okay.
Like, by his standards, he's being very quiet.
Okay. As you do, oh goodness, guys.
Oh no. When the DM chuckles. Uh-oh.
The figure comes through this wall and comes back out and stands here in front of you guys, almost coming and trailing backwards. As this ghostly figure emerges, with flails hanging from its arms that seem to have the soul-filled skulls hanging at the ends of them like flail ends. It seems to wreathe with some kind of crazy energy. This thing has a dark aura of magic around it. Rainlore says, "Get down." As he pulls back and you hear the strings tension draw through his bow. Okay? At that moment, when that happens, Kylian, is still your action. This thing 20 foot out in front of you and is looking at you, and you can see empty eyes. It has a patch that comes down over top of one of its eyes, as if like a pirate's patch over one side. Danny, I would like for you to automatically roll a perception check.
25.
There is something extraordinarily familiar about this thing, Danny. With a 25, there's something extraordinarily familiar about this thing. When you see the patch that is across its face, you think back to that time up in the crow's nest when you were sitting there and you went to stab somebody that actually wasn't there. Somebody that had a patch that had across their face that looks eerily familiar to this creature. You remember Valamar's story about the ex-guard that was exiled and scorned, that set him up and made it look like he was the one that stole the statue for the victory, and that guard that almost had Valamar thrown in prison for the rest of his life. It was the same guy that you tried to stab through that time up in the crow's nest, and this seems to be him somehow. An exiled guard with some kind of dark grudge that you've only seen a handfuls of times. Do you remember what that character's name was, Danny?
I do not, but he, under his breath, just loud enough everybody else can hear it, he says they are linked, but he says it questioning, like it's a question.
Okay. with that, and you have this moment of realization, things start to pop into your head. Could that person that was dishonored by Valimar, that was shunned by the king and found out to be the traitor that he was, could this be his doing somehow? Could he truly be that bitter to try to create something like this to happen? And we'll end tonight's episode there. Okay, file.
What a interesting ending.
Yeah. So
You could say I'm dying to find out.
you could. You could.
At least my spirits are up.
Right on, man. Oh, it's all day. The hits just keep coming. The hits keep coming. Oh, God.
Kylian is going to go batty at this encounter.
How much time did you spend thinking of this shit?
I
Exactly
only
how
just
much
came up
time?
with them.
It's incredible.
I just came up with these.
It's incredible. You know what? Put on your character sheet inspiration. Just put a point down. Just
I'll put
put it
an
down.
inspiration point down there.
So with that, guys,
There we go.
this was a lot of fun tonight. I appreciate you guys hanging in just that little bit extra. If you're a little bit tired at work tomorrow, just think about the fun that we had tonight and try to get over it the best you can. I appreciate everyone that watches the video. I hope you enjoyed as much as we do. And I'll keep you guys on here for another second. I'm getting ready to stop the video, and then we'll have a bullshit session real quick and go. And thanks for watching, and we'll be back with episode 8. Hopefully Wednesday in the middle of the week. We'll see what we can get accomplished. Okay, thanks.